Chapter 720. On this day, Jiang Chun was still practicing. After all, this time, he had merged with two alien soil directly. Two seals had been formed on his soul. The power of the earth and the power of the firmament were too great. It would take him some time to melt them. However, Xianqing left the main hall early in the morning. This was because the Xian tribe's mountain gate was filled with people, and every one of them was a master god. Xianqing was anxious. Xianjian had just left, and so many master gods had arrived. Were they going to attack the Xian tribe? Why have you come to the Xian tribe? Xianqing stood in the mountain gate with a group of Xian tribe experts behind him. At the same time, he had sent someone to the desolate tribe with a large sum of money to invite the desolate god over. Otherwise, the Xian tribe wouldn't be able to fend off so many master gods. More than 40 master gods, almost a third of the master gods in the Eternal City, are here. The Xian tribe members were terrified. The Eternal City's location was extraordinary and its Tao was unique, so it was easy to cultivate here. Over the years, there were many master gods in the Eternal City, but there were also many in the dark. Someone had once deduced that there were probably more than 3 digits of master gods in the Eternal City. And now, these 40 master gods were equivalent to 1/3 of the master gods in the Eternal City. Some of the master gods hadn't appeared in many eras. Great Elder Xianqing, I heard that your teacher has returned. I'm here on behalf of the Tao tribe. A white-haired elder in a Taoist robe smiled. Your teacher is the former divine King Tianqing, right? My teacher has indeed returned, but his memories have yet to awaken, Xianqing said truthfully. He was wary of this elder from the Tao tribe. This was because the Tao tribe was the #1 power in the Eternal City. Even the current #1 great saint in charge of the Eternal City was from the Tao tribe. Great Elder Xianqing, the Lu tribe will be frank. May I ask if Tianqing really has the mixed Yuan sacred body in this life? On the other side, a green-haired, middle-aged man spoke. His body was full of vitality, and layers of green light spread from his body like ripples. This was the 4th-rank family in the Eternal City, the Lu tribe. Since everyone already knows, there's no need to ask anymore. Xianqing frowned and said, Everyone, why have you come to my Xian clan today? Please speak. We've already lived for so long. Even our eyelashes are empty. If there's anything you want to say, just say it. Once these words were spoken, the elder from the Tao race was the first to speak. Divine King Tianqing's status is extraordinary and is of great significance to the Eternal City. My Tao race would like to invite Lord Tianqing to our race for protection. What does the Tao race mean? Snatch. Xianqing raised her eyebrows, and her tone became unfriendly. Speaking of which, among all the forces, Xianqing was the least afraid of the Tao tribe. Although the Tao race was the #1 power, the current great saint was from the Tao race. It was precisely because of this that the Tao race would definitely not dare to act recklessly in Eternal City. This was because if they were to act recklessly, Eternal Fortress would be in complete chaos. How could the Tao race do such a thing? We're not snatching, but we're just worried about Divine King Tianqing's safety. The elder from the Tao race said seriously, there are many people with evil intentions in Eternal City. The Xian race's foundation is not weak, but it's not enough to guarantee Lord Tianqing's safety, right? What? Is the Tao race the only powerful one? Xianqing's expression was unfriendly. The Xian race can protect Master. I think the Tao race is indeed snatching. The expert from the Lu race joked. Then his expression became serious, and he waved his hand. A row of goods landed in front of the Xian race's mountain gate. These goods were all wrapped in red, and the word Shi was engraved on them. This? Xianqing was stunned. What did the Lu race mean by this? The Lu race is the 4th power in Eternal City. Today, the leader sent me here to propose marriage. The expert from the Lu race said, this is the marriage proposal for the daughter of the leader of the Lu race. To whom? Xianqing was confused. Of course, to Lord Tianqing. The expert from the Lu race said, I don't think Lord Tianqing will reject it. The Xian race won't reject it either, right? When the Lu race and the Xian race work together, we can do whatever we want in Eternal City. After saying this, the expert from the Lu race didn't forget to look at the elder from the Dao race with a strong provocation. However, before Xianqing could speak, a large number of marriage proposals suddenly appeared outside the Xian race's mountain gate. These are from the Hung race. The Mo race is also here to propose marriage. Although the Xiao race isn't strong, there's a lot of room for improvement. I hope great elder Xianqing will consider it. Moreover, the eldest daughter of the Xiao race is famous for her beauty in Eternal City. At this moment, Xianqing was in a mess. You guys are here to propose marriage. The girl is here to propose marriage. What Tianqing's supreme being? What origin's sacred body? I think he's not as powerful as the prodigy of my race. At this moment, a very discordant voice sounded. Looking closely, a middle-aged man in a black robe stepped forward and said disdainfully, Tianqing is just his previous life. He was very powerful in his previous life, but that might not be the case in this life. I think you guys don't have to take Tianqing's reincarnation so seriously. Perhaps he's very weak in this life and not worth mentioning. The moment the black-robed man appeared, the atmosphere became somewhat tense and oppressive. Even the old man from the Dao race narrowed his eyes. This was because the black-robed man came from the second most powerful force in Eternal City, the Xiaoyao race. Someone once said that if the Dao race didn't have a great saint, the number one force in Eternal City would be the Xiaoyao race. Duke Xiaoyao, what do you want? Xianqing said coldly. Are you here to cause trouble? I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to see how powerful Tianqing's reincarnation is. Duke Xiaoyao raised his eyebrows. I brought a prodigy from my race. He's not the best, but I think he can suppress Tianqing's reincarnation. After saying that, he waved his hand, and a young man in a black robe walked out. He was handsome with fair skin, a tall and straight figure, and a divine appearance. His aura was very calm, but it gave people a feeling of emptiness. It was as if he had melted into the void and transcended the great Tao. He was free and unfettered. I've also asked around. Tianqing's reincarnation's cultivation is not high. However, among the young people in my race, he has the lowest cultivation, Duke Xiaoyao said. I wonder if Tianqing's reincarnation can compete with him? Hearing that, Xianqing's face darkened. He could tell that this young man from the Xiaorao race was very powerful. He had cultivated the Xiaorao heaven travel technique to a very high level. He had almost melted into the great Tao. This kind of person could compete with a lower-level profound god. My teacher is cultivating. It's not suitable for him to fight, Xianqing said in a low voice. Even if Jiang Chun could fight, Xianqing would not agree to it. This was because the other party had come with ill intentions. If they really fought, they would not be able to control their strength. If something happened to Jiang Chun, the Xian race would suffer a great loss. Chapter 7:21. It's so lively here. All of a sudden, a light, playful voice came from behind. Jiang Chen's hair fluttered in the wind as he walked toward them. His aura was calm, and his eyes were clear. There was nothing strange about him. He came to Xianqing's side and glanced at the marriage proposals outside the mountain gate. Take them, Master. You can't just take these things. Xianqing was anxious. If they accepted these marriage proposals, it would mean that they had agreed to the marriage proposals of so many forces. By then, would Jiang Chun be able to handle all of them? I'm still young, Jiang Chun said with a smile. Moreover, as a powerhouse, what's wrong with having multiple wives and concubines? I can start a clan by myself. Wait, I think we should see Lord Tianqing's strength first. Yes, what happened before was a bit abrupt. Since Lord Tianqing is here, why don't you show us your strength? The people who had proposed marriage began to hesitate. Just as Duke Xiaorao had said, Tianqing was very powerful in his previous life, but what about this life? It was hard to say. As a powerhouse, what's wrong with having multiple wives and concubines? Duke Xiaoyao raised his eyebrows. Having multiple wives and concubines is not important. What's important is, are you worthy of being called a powerhouse? Shut up and ask your son to come here, Jiang Chun said bluntly. What's wrong with showing you my strength? Go and experience the strength of the reincarnated Tian Qing. Remember not to hurt him, Duke Xiaoyao said with a cold smile. Jiang Chen's words were exactly what he wanted. At this moment, Jiang Chen looked at the crowd and said with a smile, Everyone, how many moves do you want me to show? One move is enough, the elder from the Taoist tribe said. With our strength, we'll know your strength when you show us your moves. Okay, Jiang Chen nodded. In the next moment, Jiang Chen walked out of the mountain gate. The young man from the Xiaorao tribe also took a few steps forward. Immediately after, his aura skyrocketed, and his figure became illusory. Jiang Chen was surrounded by layers of illusory shadows, but in the dark, there was a cold light that rushed towards Jiang Chen. Is that all? Jiang Chen said softly. He stomped down, and the ground shook. Terrifying ripples spread out like waves, dispersing all the illusory images of the young man. Even the cold light was shaken to the point that it disappeared into thin air. In the next moment, the young man from the unfettered clan was stunned on the spot while shock flashed through his eyes. Why aren't you attacking? This is the power of the earth. Some people were puzzled, but others saw through the clues. When Jiang Chen's foot landed, it triggered the earth's power and formed a domain that confined the unfettered clan's youngster in his place. Fortunately, you guys asked me to show off my skills. If I had shown off a little, this kid would have lost his life, Jiang Chen said with a smile. Wang! As soon as he finished speaking, the young man from the Carefree clan exploded with a bright light and broke the domain formed by the power of the earth. His face was red, and his figure suddenly disappeared. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen didn't even have time to react before his opponent's punch landed on his chest. What? Jiang Chen was shocked. His thick Earth Divine formula had reached the 4th level. The power of the earth that he could trigger was extremely strong. How could a lower divine god escape from it? This was impossible. Even the surrounding people were surprised. This was something that was simply impossible to happen. Duke Xiaoyao can't afford to lose face like this, the elder from the Taoist tribe said to himself. He sensed that Duke Xiaoyao had secretly inserted a strand of energy into the young man's body. Otherwise, the young man would not have been able to move. However, the elder from the Taoist tribe did not say it out loud. I wanted to see how strong Jiang Chen was. If that was the case, then there was no need to pay attention to Tian Qing in this life. Many people noticed this, but like the elder from the Taoist tribe, they did not say it out loud. They all had the same thought. What kind of powerhouse are you? Even the power of the earth cannot restrain me. The young man from the Carefree clan said coldly. Looking at Jiang Chen, who had been pushed back more than 10 steps, his eyes flashed with disdain. However, Jiang Chen laughed. He looked at the young man and asked, What kind of powerhouse am I? Then today, I'll show you what it means to be invincible in your generation. I'll show you what it means to be invincible. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chen patted his chest and said with a frown, This is the full power attack of an upper divine god, right? What? He's not injured at all? Many people exclaimed. Looking at the unharmed Jiang Chen, the group of people was dumbfounded. If the Carefree clan wants to play, then I'll accompany you to the end, Jiang Chen said mockingly. Then, the light of the sun and the moon appeared in Jiang Chen's eyes. His hands danced in front of him, and fist prints gathered. Then, the fist prints filled the sky and fell like a storm, drowning the young man. Without waiting for the young man to react, Jiang Chen slammed his hands on the ground, and a cage formed by the power of the earth appeared. Then, in the blink of an eye, Jiang Chen attacked again. A talisman rose into the sky, and tribulation clouds appeared. Purple lightning fell like an upside-down galaxy. This was not the end. Jiang Chen attacked again. The undying bird Tao spirit appeared, and the emperor's vine stood tall. The vines with the undying fire were like sharp swords. The sound of air being torn apart was heard. This was not the end. A blue lamp was burning above Jiang Chen's head. His arm was raised horizontally like a peerless sword, and he was throwing it over slowly. He muttered, Thousand transformations, heaven slash. Boom! At this moment, the outside of the Xian clan's mountain gate was dazzling as if fireworks were blooming. However, when the sword radiance swept across the sky, everything was over. The cage formed by the earth disappeared. The vines with the undying fire were broken. The lightning in the sky disappeared. In the end, everything was gone. Not even a trace of the young man from the Carefree clan was left. Carefree clan, are you satisfied now? Jiangchen said coldly. Don't think that I can't see through your tricks. How dare you kill a member of the Carefree clan? Duke Carefree rebuked angrily. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he said, a life for a life. Xianqing, I'll leave the rest to you. Jiangchen suddenly turned around and returned to the mountain gate. He patted Xianqing's shoulder and said, Can you handle it? No, Xianqing said directly. Duke Carefree is the second most powerful person in the Carefree clan. I'm no match for him. However, Xianqing said this calmly and confidently. So what if she could not handle it? After all, the Carefree clan did not have the final say in the Eternal City. There was also a powerful person from the Taoist clan present. Duke Carefree, we all know what happened just now. Don't push your luck. The Taoist clan elder stood out with a gloomy face and said, We're not blind. If we tell you what happened, the Carefree clan will lose face. Chapter 722. The killing intent in Duke Xiaoyao's eyes disappeared, and his attitude changed quickly. He said with a smile, I'm sorry. I've been too angry recently. After Marquis Xiaoyao spoke, he threw Jiang Chen's back a meaningful look and said, My Xiaoyao clan will come to consult you in a few days. Anytime, Jiang Chen said softly. As he spoke, Jiang Chen walked towards the main hall. After a few seconds, he suddenly stopped and said to Xianqing, Remember to take all the marriage proposals. Teacher, isn't this inappropriate? Xianqing was in a mess. She couldn't help but wonder whether Jiang Chen really planned to start a family. This would be too hurtful. Of course, he did not know that Jiang Chen was going to run away after making a fortune. Are you kidding me? Marrying the all-transformations holy body of the Light Tribe? To hell with it. If he really did marry her, he would have to call the Lord God of Light Patriarch when he met him. Damn it. Impossible. Great Elder Xianqing, I think we should pick an auspicious day and get married soon. That's right. Lord Xianqing is alone now. It's time for you to start a family. At this moment, the over-gods were anxious. They did not expect Jiang Chen to be so powerful in this life. If they could rope in Jiang Chen or even pull him into their forces, when Jiang Chen grew up, he would be able to protect their forces for tens of thousands of years or even several generations. It feels strange, Xianqing muttered. However, she still followed Jiang Chen's instructions and took all the marriage proposals. As for the old man from the Taoist tribe, he left without saying a word. Master, there are so many marriage proposals. In the future, after a few seconds, Xianqing arrived at the main hall. However, before she could finish her sentence, she was stunned. Jiang Chen was nowhere to be seen in the main hall. There was only a piece of paper. Take good care of them. I'll send someone to get them. When Xianqing saw the piece of paper, she immediately understood that Jiang Chen had run away. Xianqing's face darkened as she said, Teacher, are you trying to trick me? After receiving so many marriage proposals, if they didn't get married, the Xian race would suffer a calamity. He had offended so many chief gods and so many factions in one go. Upon thinking of this, Xianqing broke out into a cold sweat. He hurriedly sent people to secretly search for Jiang Chen's whereabouts. At the same time, he went to the desolate race. What? That kid ran away? The desolate god's face turned green when he heard the news. How could he run away? Wasn't this harming the Xian race? What do you think our Xian clan should do about this? Xianqing was at his wit's end. Not even in his dreams did he think that he would be tricked by his master. You can't blame him. The desolate god sighed. After all, in his previous life, he was Tian Shun, a sworn enemy of the Radiant Master God. If he were to marry the descendant of the Radiant Master God, wouldn't he have to address the Radiant Master God as his ancestor in the future? But what should we do now? So many sovereigns, so many factions. We've offended all of them in one go. Xianqing said with a bitter smile. Is our Xian race coming to an end? Not necessarily. The desolate god said thoughtfully. He won't really harm the Xian race. Since he left, he must have left a way out. You can stay in the Xian race at ease. That's true. I also believe that my master won't harm me. Xianqing nodded, but he still felt uneasy. He stared at the desolate god and thought for a while. Then he said seriously, Isn't it time to lay our cards on the table? What's the hurry? The desolate god joked, Continue acting. Those people will jump out one day. The Eternal Fortress has been around for countless years. It's time to clean it up. What does the Great Saint mean? Xianqing asked. The Great Saint? Heh. The desolate god chuckled, and a trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. It's not certain who will clean up who. What right does the Great Saint have to make such a decision? Can he bear the consequences? Then, could it be him? Xianqing's heart palpitated. If that person really returned, then the Eternal Fortress's sky would change. In the end, Xianqing left quietly. The Xian race was also very quiet. No one knew that Jiang Chun had run away. At this moment, in the Flying Dragon Inn, Jiang Chun sat on the couch with his legs crossed. Han Linglong, who was in front of him, frowned and said, You ran away just like that? Are you still blaming the Flying Dragon Inn? Lady Boss, I've calculated that your place is the only place I can go in the whole Eternal City, and the only place that dares to take me in, Jiang Chun said with a smile. Even if you don't want to, I'm sure your apprentice brother will. This inn is mine, not his. Han Linglong said coldly, Get out. Don't. Jiang Chun shook his head. When we were in the Xian race, you risked your life to protect me. Why is it so difficult to take me in now? Previously, we only needed to deal with one Xian race. Now we have to deal with so many overgods and forces. Even if my senior brother comes, he won't be able to solve it. Han Linglong said in a low voice. She already knew what Jiang Chun had done. Was this something a human could do? Speaking of which, I have a 7th grade merit. What's the use of that? Jiang Chun asked with a smile. In fact, Jiang Chun had already asked around. With a 7th grade merit, in the Eternal Fortress, only the leader of a force and a great saint could punish him. Others couldn't touch him. This was the benefit of having a merit. And Jiang Chun also knew that Xianqing also had a 7th grade merit, so no one dared to touch her. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have a 7th grade merit. The Eternal Fortress has been through many eras, so a 7th grade merit is nothing. Han Linglong said snappily. If you meet someone with a 7th grade merit or above, you'll be beaten up. Then I'll go and do some more merit. Won't that be enough? Jiang Chun said softly. When I have a 1st grade merit, I'm afraid that even a great saint won't dare to touch me, right? Han Linglong was stunned when she heard this. 1st grade merit? How dare you say that? One had to know that the number of people in the Eternal Fortress who had a 1st grade merit could be counted on one hand. Moreover, some of them were bestowed with 1st grade merit after they died in battle. There were probably no more than 3 people who were still alive with 1st grade merit. The most important thing was that it was too difficult to achieve a 1st grade merit. The hard requirement was to kill a king of the foreign lands. With Jiang Chen's cultivation, if he met a king of the foreign lands, the other party didn't even need to do anything. He could just kill himself. Actually, I plan to leave. Jiang Chun said softly, My heaven and earth is not here. I want to go to the divine world of the 9 heavens. The path to the divine world of the 9 heavens is in the Taoist tribe. Go to the Taoist tribe and don't stay here. Han Linglong's face froze. I don't want to be involved in this mess. Wuqing, Jiang Chun said with a smile. Be more respectful to your master. Be careful that your senior doesn't punish you. When Han Linglong heard this, she looked at Jiang Chun in surprise and asked, You know everything? Chapter 7:23. I don't know, but I can guess, Jiang Chun said. I am not related to you, but you and Yi Linglong want to protect me. In prehistoric times, Yi Linglong was known as the strongest disciple. Then who was her master? That was in the past. You are no longer her master now, Hanling Long said coldly. You are just his reincarnation, not his real self. But there is one thing you have to admit. I was indeed your master. Jiang Chen stared at her. Why? You don't want to admit it? Hanling Long opened her mouth, and some images suddenly appeared in her mind. It was the image of her and Yi Ling Long being Jiang Chen's disciples. At that time, if it wasn't for Jiang Chen, they would have died. You won't be able to hide this matter for long. At most 10 days, the whole Eternal City will know, Hanling Long said in a low voice. You can only stay here for 10 days at most. I don't need 10 days. 3 days is enough, Jiang Chen said with a smile, looking very relaxed. After saying that, Jiang Chen asked, if I don't have the divine light of battle, does it mean that I can't go to the battlefield? You can go to the Everlasting Hall and apply for it yourself. Hanling Long glanced at Jiang Chen and sneered. With your cultivation, you will die if you go to the battlefield. I'm not going to die. I'm going to take revenge. Jiang Chen's expression suddenly became serious. He remembered what his teammates said to him when he went to the spirit battlefield for the first time. Stay alive and take revenge for them. It was a group of young people he met for the first time. They didn't know each other's background, but they protected Jiang Chen until the last batch of people went to the battlefield. In order to let Jiang Chen live, they joined hands to seal Jiang Chen. Indeed, they looked down on Jiang Chen's cultivation. But they knew that since Jiang Chen was sent to the spirit battlefield, it meant that he was very talented. They didn't have much confidence in themselves. They even knew that they would die in this battle. They had placed all their hopes and future on Jiang Chen. Therefore, no matter what, Jiang Chen had to help them fulfill their dream. That was a kind of entrustment, a blessing, and also a life. To be honest, sometimes I really don't understand why they still go out and fight when they know they're going to die. Jiang Chen whispered, you don't have to leave the city. You'll lose anyway, and your territory will shrink. Why do you have to leave the city to fight? This is the belief of the living beings in the Eternal City. Hanling Long sighed. She had once been to the ninth heaven divine world, and then came to the Eternal City because of the conscription. After arriving at this place, she had the same doubts as Jiang Chen at first. Why did she still leave the city to fight when she knew that she was going to die? Why was it that they could survive by hiding in the city, but they still had to go and die? Also, why did they still want to go out even though they were worthless after death? It wasn't until later that Hanling Long understood that she wasn't fighting for herself, but for the 6 realms. The higher the cultivation, the heavier the burden on your shoulders. Hanling Long sighed. We cultivators don't care about anything else. We just want the future generations to be safe. Heh. Jiang Chen chuckled. I don't have such thoughts. Then what do you want? Hanling Long asked. It's fine as long as you live. Jiang Chen's eyes focused. If you lose your life, all hope will end. Living is the way of the king. Even if the sky collapses, the earth cracks, and the great Tao no longer exists. But as long as I live, there will be a day when I can restore the sky and the earth, restore the great Tao, and let all living beings grow again. It's just the words of a coward, Hanling Long said disdainfully. Disappointment flashed in her eyes, and she sighed. You're not him after all. Yes, I'm not him. Jiang Chen nodded and said, I'm myself. No matter how many times I reincarnate, I'm Jiang Chen in this life. After saying that, Jiang Chen seemed to be a little annoyed. He waved his hand and said, Get out. This is my inn. Hanling Long's pretty face froze. She stared at him and said, You want to chase me away? I want to take a bath. Do you want to watch? Jiang Chen teased. Hearing that, Hanling Long's pretty face turned red. After spitting, she left Jiang Chen's room with a disappointed look. Just as she said, Jiang Chen wasn't who he used to be, and he wasn't their master. After reincarnating, everything had changed. However, they didn't know if everything in the past would come back. Would the person in the past return? Damn it, I can't suppress it anymore. At that moment, Jiang Chen was sitting cross-legged in the room, looking slightly nervous. During this period, he had obtained a large amount of mysterious soil. The level of the incomplete heavenly skill had increased tremendously, and so had his cultivation. However, in order to stabilize his foundation, Jiang Chun had been suppressing his cultivation. Now, the thick earth skill had reached the 4th level, and the incomplete heavenly skill had reached a small success. His cultivation had been increasing, and he couldn't suppress it anymore. My foundation is not stable yet. I need to train, Jiang Chun said in a low voice. He had originally planned to challenge the geniuses of various clans after changing his appearance to train and stabilize his foundation. However, it was too late now. It seems like I don't have to stay here for 3 days. I can leave now, Jiang Chun said with a bitter smile. After saying that, Jiang Chen's figure flashed and disappeared from the inn. None of this could escape Han Linglong's eyes. He's leaving before 3 days are up? Han Linglong was puzzled and suddenly remembered what Jiang Chun had said before. In an instant, her expression changed drastically, and she secretly sent a voice transmission to Yi Linglong. After a dozen breaths in the everlasting hall, Jiang Chun came here and found the old monk. This person was originally known as the Great Saint, but because he had committed a crime, he was punished to guard the everlasting hall. Master, I want to apply to go to the spirit battlefield, Jiang Chun said bluntly. Hurry up, this benefactor, with your cultivation. I'm afraid you won't be able to come back alive if you go to the spirit battlefield. The old monk held a Buddhist seal and persuaded, life is given by your parents. You must know how to cherish it. Old monk, don't say so much. Jiang Chun was anxious. He could feel that his heavenly tribulation was about to descend. This was Everlasting Town. Once the heavenly tribulation descended, all the living beings in Everlasting Town would be implicated. At that time, Everlasting Town would no longer exist. Even the Everlasting Hall would be overturned. Benefactor, you can't do that. The old monk was very stubborn and persuaded again. I see that Benefactor's aptitude is extraordinary. After cultivating in the city for a period of time, you should be able to contend with the foreign powerhouses. Do you want Everlasting Town to be destroyed? Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed and said, Hurry up. Send me to the spirit battlefield. Benefactor, the old monk sighed. After thinking for a moment, he said, Then I'll send you there. After saying that, the old monk waved his hand and a spatial passage opened. Seeing this, Jiang Chun did not even ask and directly jumped into it. Benefactor, your cultivation is not suitable for the spirit battlefield. I'll send you to the human battlefield, which is the next level. That place is suitable for you, the old monk said. However, Jiang Chun did not hear this at all. Chapter 724. Radiance flickered, and time and space were distorted. After a dozen breaths, a beam of light landed in a small town. It doesn't look like it. Jiang Chun frowned and looked around. This was completely different from the small town he had been to before. This small town was even smaller, only the size of a soccer field. It couldn't even be called a small town. Moreover, there was no one here. It was very desolate. The surrounding buildings were also different from the small town he had been to before. Could it be that it was sent to the wrong place? Jiang Chun frowned and looked up. He happened to see a large door not far from him. The door was simple and unadorned. It was stained with dark bloodstains and even had the marks of swords and knives. This was a door that had been through a lot of battles. It was stained with the blood of seniors. At the same time, there was a bronze token hanging on the door. There were 2 words engraved on it, Battle Avoidance. Battle Avoidance? Jiang Chun was stunned. The foreign creatures wouldn't attack just because there was a Battle Avoidance token hanging on the door? What kind of joke was this? Were the foreign creatures that easy to talk to? I don't know what the king is thinking. We've already fought until here, but he agreed to the other party's battle avoidance. It's a battle avoidance, but in reality, it's a surrender. We'll be at the foot of the Eternal City's walls if we continue forward. At this moment, a few voices came from the other side of the door. When Jiang Chun heard this, he instantly understood that this place had already been defeated. This so-called battle avoidance token was just a fig leaf for the Eternal City. Jiang Chun turned around and looked back. He really saw the walls of the Eternal City. Obviously, This battlefield had already been defeated a long time ago. The territory here had already been reduced to the lowest level. Jiang Chun didn't know why the foreign creatures didn't continue to attack this place. Moreover, they left some face for the Eternal City by agreeing to a battle avoidance here. The rules of this battlefield are similar to the spirit battlefield, right? Jiang Chun thought. He slowly walked to the door and shouted, "The few of you outside, are the rules of battle here the same as the spirit battlefield?" Huh, there's someone here? At this moment, the group of foreign creatures guarding the door were shocked. It had been a long time since anyone had come to this small town. This side of the battlefield had stopped fighting for more than 10,000 years. Ever since the other side fought their way here more than 10,000 years ago, this place stopped fighting. Now, they were just here to patrol as usual. But who would have thought that there would be someone behind the door today? Does the Eternal City want to reopen this battlefield? An ear-piercing voice came from behind the door. It was filled with provocation. You better think this through. Once the battlefield opens, the exemption order will be gone. At that time, if we win, our foreign territory will expand to the area below the Eternal City's walls. Another foreign creature said, "Have you all thought this through?" Wong! As soon as these words fell, the group of foreign creatures guarding outside saw the dust-covered door suddenly open. Then, a young man slowly walked out from the other side of the door. His white clothes fluttered, his hair danced, his sword-like eyebrows stood straight, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. I only have one question. Are the rules here the same as the spirit battlefield? Jiang Chun said coldly. He saw corpses piled up like mountains in the distance outside the door. Withered bones were everywhere, and dark red blood covered the ground. Back then, a great battle happened here. It was unknown how many people had died on this battlefield. It was also unknown how many youngsters like Jiang Chun had come here and ended up dying here. Other than the frontline battlefield, the rules of the other battlefields are the same. A creature with a tiger head and a human body raised his eyebrows. His gaze focused slightly as he looked behind Jiang Chun. He was stunned and asked, "Just you? Did the Eternal City make a mistake? They only sent one person?" A foreign creature with crane wings was also stunned for a long time. Only one person was sent? According to the rules, this meant that Jiang Chun had to fight with 10 of them at the same time. Upper True God? Isn't this too weak? The creature with a tiger head and a human body said with contempt, "With your cultivation level, I can suppress you with one hand. We haven't fought in a long time. Let's draw lots to decide. The first 10 will fight and play with this kid." At this moment, more than 30 foreign creatures were overjoyed. After all, they hadn't fought in a long time. It was really too boring to guard here all year round. They completely ignored Jiang Chun and started drawing lots in front of Jiang Chun. Jiang Chun was furious, but he didn't want to break the rules of the battlefield. Just like that, he stood quietly outside the door. After the foreign creatures finished drawing lots, he took a step forward and said, "Can we fight now?" "Hee kid, don't worry. We haven't fought in a long time, so we'll be gentle." The creature with a tiger head and a human body said mockingly, "After all, it wasn't easy for a plaything to come. We don't want to play with you to death immediately. We still want to use you to relieve our boredom." "So much nonsense," Jiang Chun said softly. His figure moved horizontally, leaving behind afterimages on the spot. Pooh! Pooh! In the next moment, a series of muffled sounds rang out. Blood splattered, and heads rolled on the ground like daylilies. The 10 otherworldly creatures, who had been chosen by drawing lots, were all killed by Jiang Chun in just an instant. What? Those were all heavenly god-level powerhouses, but they couldn't block a single attack from an upper true god? He killed 10 heavenly gods in an instant. At this moment, the foreign creatures who were watching the battle were incomparably shocked. What was the background of this young man? Was he a monster? Why did he come to the human battlefield with such combat strength? Was he here to torture weaklings? However, according to the rules, as long as Jiang Chun's cultivation level didn't exceed the heavenly god level, he could come to the battlefield to fight. No matter how terrifying his combat strength was, as long as he met the rules, It was fine. How many rounds do I have to fight before I can expand my territory? At this moment, Jiang Chun stood on the spot, his white clothes not stained with a trace of dust or blood. His expression was calm, his eyes clear, and the corners of his mouth slightly upturned, giving off a kind feeling. He was just like an elegant young master. However, in the eyes of these foreign creatures, this young man was a monster. According to the rules, once the human battlefield starts, there will be a total of 3 rounds, a foreign creature said. That was the first round. Oh, then I still have to fight 2 rounds. Jiang Chen muttered. He looked at the remaining foreign creatures and said, all of you can come together. It'll be 2 rounds combined. That's what you said. This is in line with the rules. Previously, many foreign creatures didn't have the heart to fight after seeing Jiang Chen's combat strength. However, when they heard this group of foreign creatures became excited. In the next moment, 20 foreign creatures walked out and surrounded Jiang Chen. Chapter 7:25. 20 of them, just one move, Jiang Chen said softly. Then, with a bang, the divine power in Jiang Chen's body erupted like a volcano. Ripples spread out, carrying a cold light that was as sharp as needles. In an instant, the 20 foreign creatures surrounding Jiang Chen were all shattered, and not even a wisp of ash was left. This was a true suppression, a true instant kill. The human battlefield's territory formation has been activated. At this moment, within Eternal City and the other side's King City, the most powerful creatures suddenly opened their eyes. They could feel that the human battlefield's territory formation had been activated. Moreover, it was the Eternal City's territory formation that had been activated. Human battlefield. The Eternal City broke the order of exemption and started the battle. And won? In the foreign King City, a purple-haired man narrowed his eyes and said softly, "How interesting. How many years has it been since the human battlefield opened again, and it was opened by the Eternal City itself? Interesting. Now that the human battlefield has been opened, the foreign King City won't give the Eternal City any face." The foreign kings were discussing in secret, and finally decided to send out the top gods to attack the Eternal City's city walls in one fell swoop. At the same time, in the Dao clan's main hall of the Eternal City, a white-haired old man's eyes flickered with astonishment. He could feel that the human battlefield's territory had expanded by 100 million miles. Who broke the order of exemption? The white-haired old man frowned and quickly deduced the cause and effect. He stared in the direction of the everlasting hall and said softly, "Old monk, are you really confused, or are you pretending? Little fellow, the Eternal City has been weak for a long time. It's time for someone to come out and break all of this." In the everlasting hall, the old monk looked up and said softly. The Buddhist light on it disappeared, and it was replaced by a black light. Buddha destroys the devil and gives birth. At this moment, in the endless void and darkness, a pair of empty eyes suddenly lit up. Then, in the depths of the endless void, there were sounds of footsteps. It was as if something was following a certain coordinate and returning from the endless dark void. What the F*** CK? Is this the stellar shift? At the same time, in the human battlefield, Jiang Chen's face was full of shock. Just a second ago, he felt a huge change in the space around him. It was as if it was hit by some terrifying force, and time and space were distorted. Even Jiang Chen's body was almost torn apart. When this feeling disappeared, Jiang Chen was shocked to find that he and the town behind him had arrived at an unfamiliar place. However, this place was still littered with corpses and bones, and even the ground was dark red. The territory has been expanded. Done in an instant. Is this the Eternal Citadel's technique? Jiang Chen exclaimed. Meanwhile, right at this time, in the distant horizon, there were 30 foreign experts who arrived through the air. They were all relatively powerful, heavenly deity tier cultivators among the foreign creatures. Brothers, it's war. His Majesty has ordered us to attack the walls of Eternal City this time. Trample on the dignity of the Eternal Citadel. Kill. This group of foreign creatures were extremely stirred up also extremely excited. They hadn't fought for a long time, and their eyes flickered with raging flames and bloodthirsty radiance. There were even a few creatures licking their scarlet lips, as if they were reminiscing about the taste of the blood of the six realms. Whoosh! But in the next moment, this group of foreign creatures only heard the sound of air being torn apart, and then a white light flashed in front of them. Then, there was no more then. It was Jiang Chen's counterattack. His physical strength was unparalleled, and it tore apart the void here. The group of foreign creatures didn't even have the chance to react before they were directly shocked to death. The territory array has been activated again? What? What's going on? The servants that were just sent out all died in an instant. At this moment, within a certain great hall on the foreign side, several foreign kings revealed looks of shock. They couldn't believe that the Eternal City had such combat strength. In one day, the territory had shrunk twice. Let's go and take a look. After a few breaths, one of the foreign kings disappeared. Then he saw Jiang Chen rushing all the way in a certain area of the human battlefield. Just one person? This foreign king didn't make a move because every battlefield had its rules. Even a foreign king wouldn't rashly break them. But what puzzled him was that how could an upper-level troop god advance all the way? His combat strength is indeed extraordinary. Let's take a look first, the foreign king said softly, and then returned to the foreign hall. Half a day later, Jiang Chen had already arrived at the edge of the new territory. In front of him, 30 foreign creatures had been waiting for a long time. Is it really one person? It can't be, right? He pushed all the way here alone? The group of foreign creatures was shocked. Was the combat strength of an upper-level true god really so formidable? I know the rules. At this moment, Jiang Chen spoke in a low voice. He didn't even look at the alien realm's creatures. He rushed out, flames surging on his body. His body broke through the void and directly smashed into the group of foreign creatures. Boom! With a loud explosion, a mushroom cloud seemed to have exploded among the group of foreign creatures. Then there was no more then. Jiang Chen once again used his physical strength to crush the 30 foreign creatures. Then, the Eternal City's territory formation activated, and the territory once again expanded into the distance. Something big has happened. A mirror image has appeared in front of the Everlasting Hall. At this moment, the creatures in the Eternal City were alarmed. It was all because a cloud suddenly rose in front of the Everlasting Hall. The cloud was like a mirror, reflecting the scene of Jiang Chen in the human battlefield. Someone hurried over, and when he saw Jiang Chen pushing out, his heart and mind were moved. Only those who have made great contributions will the mirror image of the Everlasting Hall be automatically activated. He has expanded the territory of the Eternal City 3 times. With this contribution, I'm afraid he can enter the 5th class? There were more and more people in front of the Everlasting Hall, and exclamations of surprise were incessant. When they saw Jiang Chen in the image, their hearts tightened, and they thought to themselves, Tian Qing's reincarnation is still as tyrannical in this life. I wonder if the Xian clan's marriage, will they go back on their word? Pass down my order. Double the engagement gift that was given to the Xian clan. This kid is ridiculously strong. Looks like the competition is very strong. On this day, the upper echelons of the major families and forces were all moved. They sent a large number of manpower to the Xian clan's mountain gate. They were worried that the engagement gift from before was not enough, so they specially sent more today, afraid that the Xian clan would go back on their word. Xian Qing had a strange expression. He was not confident in his heart, and he did not know if Jiang Chen would return. If he didn't come back, the engagement ceremony would be like a hot potato if they accepted it. Chapter 7:26. Teacher, you can't harm me. Xian Qing felt bitter in his heart, but he still accepted all of the engagement gifts. Then he secretly placed these engagement gifts at the back of the mountain and made a mark, thinking that Jiang Chen would send someone to collect them. Heavens! He pushed it 4 times in a day. This is the 4th time the territory formation has been activated. Half a day later, the Everlasting Hall was in an uproar. They saw that Jiang Chun was too terrifying. When he encountered the foreign creatures again, he still used the strength of his physical body to sweep through them. Those foreign creatures didn't even have the strength to fight back in front of Jiang Chun. Wherever his physical body passed, everything turned into nothingness. The territory formation was activated again, and the territory of Eternal Fortress was expanding. A natural-born god, his physical body, is even stronger than immortal metal, a group of youngsters exclaimed. Their cultivation and fighting strength were not worth mentioning in front of Jiang Chun. Even those from the older generation felt ashamed, thinking to themselves that they had wasted all these years of cultivation. At this moment, Jiang Chun didn't know about the existence of mirror images. He continued to advance. If I continue like this, I won't push all the way to the royal city of foreign lands, right? Jiang Chun wondered. If that was the case, then this was going to be fun. A high true god had pushed his way all the way to the capital of foreign lands. This would definitely be recorded in the annals of history and passed down through the ages. We can't continue like this. This brat is too strong. If we continue like this, he'll push all the way to the border of our territory. But this rule was set by both sides. We can't casually break it. In the main hall of the foreign lands, the kings had ugly expressions. They had already sent out their strongest group of celestial gods, but in front of Jiang Chun, they didn't even have a chance to fight back. If this continued, perhaps by tomorrow, Jiang Chun would be able to push the territory of the human battlefield to the border of the foreign lands. Our race has never been defeated. We have always suppressed the 6 realms. A foreign king whose entire body was shrouded in purple light said in a deep voice, "What happened today is simply a humiliation to my race. Let's wait a bit longer. If it really doesn't work, then we'll make plans." Another foreign king with 6 wings on his back said. In the following day, Jiang Chun continuously pushed forward. The other side also continuously sent out experts to stop him. However, living beings with the cultivation of heavenly gods were not even worth mentioning to Jiang Chun. Although he was only an upper true god, his battle prowess far surpassed that of an upper heavenly god. Just like that, Jiang Chun pushed his way through, and the territory formation of Eternal Fortress was activated a total of 9 times. After 9 times, Jiang Chun arrived at the edge of the territory and saw a huge waterfall that spanned tens of thousands of miles. The water of the waterfall was sparkling and translucent. It flickered with divine light as it emerged from the void, as if a river of stars was hanging upside down. Looking carefully, behind that waterfall, there was a blurry outline of a world. Behind the waterfall is the world of the other side. Jiang Chun was alarmed. He frowned and hesitated a bit. If he continued to push forward, he reckoned that he only needed to win one more battle to push the territory to that waterfall. That place should be the border of the other side's territory. However, if he really pushed it there, would those experts of the other side just sit by and watch? Would they be able to tolerate it? What if the other side broke the rules and sent experts to suppress and kill him? What are you scared of? The rules of so many battlefields haven't been broken, so why should they break the rules of the lowest level human battlefield? Jiang Chun muttered. Moreover, even if there really were experts of the other side who exceeded his limits, Jiang Chun was also fearless. Wang. However, just as Jiang Chun was about to continue forward, a bronze token suddenly appeared in front of him. On the token, 2 ancient words were shockingly written. Cease battle. Jiang Chun had seen this token before. It was the token that was hung on the small town's gate when he had just entered the human battlefield. And now, this token appeared on the other side. My clan has given Eternal City 10,000 years of cease battle. Now it's time for Eternal City to return to my clan. Behind the waterfall, a loud and clear voice sounded. It was like thunder, shaking Jiang Chun until his blood and energy surged. Even his soul was trembling. That was definitely a creature of the other side's king level. Human battlefield, from now on, my Eternal City doesn't owe you, nor will we owe you anything. Right at this moment, a streak of white light appeared beside Jiang Chun. Its figure was blurry, and its appearance couldn't be seen clearly. However, its body emitted a divine aura. Jiang Qin looked pensive. To be able to come here and have the qualifications to speak with the king of the other side, it should be that great saint of the Tao race. Umph. At this moment, a cold snort came from behind the waterfall. Then, there was no sound. The man shrouded in white light waved his hand at Jiang Chun and said, "Go back. The human battlefield probably won't open again in the next 10,000 years." It's over? Jiang Chun was stunned. He was just about to continue pushing forward, but he didn't expect the other side to give him a cease battle order. However, Jiang Chun didn't have the confidence to go back in this way. After going back, he would definitely return to the Xian clan and marry the all-transformations saint physique of the Light clan. After receiving so many betrothal gifts, Jiang Chun counted with his fingers. Once he got married, there would probably be no less than 10 brides. What a sin, Jiang Chun muttered. Then, he looked at the man with a pleading expression and asked, "Can you send me to the spirit battlefield? Don't you need to rest?" The man was stunned. One should know that under normal circumstances, great saints would personally send people to the battlefield. No one would take the initiative to volunteer. But now, an upper-level true god actually wanted to go to the spirit battlefield. Wasn't this courting death? "You have to ask the great saint about this," the man said. "Oh, you're not the first great saint of the Eternal City?" Jiang Qin was stunned and thought that he had guessed wrongly. "I'm also a great saint, but I'm not the first," the man said. "How about this? I'll send you to the spirit battlefield first. If the great saint agrees, you can fight. If he doesn't, you have to return to the Eternal City. Is that okay?" "Okay." Jiang Qin nodded. However, just as he finished speaking, a divine light of battle landed on Jiang Qin's body. Obviously, the first great saint already knew what was happening here. Even the conversation between Jiang Qin and the man was heard by the first great saint. "Looks like the great saint has agreed," the man said softly. "Be careful. I've defeated the human battlefield. Next, I'll go to the spirit battlefield." Jiang Qin muttered. Then his figure disappeared. He was sent to the small town of the spirit battlefield by the divine light of battle. At the same time, the everlasting hall was in an uproar. Did I see wrongly? The foreign territory was forced to use the battle exemption order by Jiang Qin. This is something that has never happened before. The foreign side that has never been defeated before was pushed down by an upper true deity until they lost their temper. This person is destined to be a genius. Chapter 7:27. At this moment, in front of the everlasting hall, the people from the various clans and forces were completely moved. What kind of combat power was this? What kind of contribution did he make? Some people guessed that when Jiang Qin returned and was bestowed with a great saint title, it would be at least a 5th grade contribution. Oh right, he made a 7th grade contribution previously and hasn't gone to the pagoda to cultivate yet. Someone thought of something and said, cultivating for a day in the pagoda is equivalent to cultivating for half a year in the outside world. Say if he goes to the pagoda to cultivate for half a month, when he comes out, will his cultivation surpass the older generation? Many people were speechless after hearing this. With Jiang Qin's combat power, it was hard to say. But if he goes to the spirit battlefield, will he be able to come back alive? Someone asked worriedly. It wasn't easy for the Eternal City to produce such a valiant prodigy. If he died, it would be a great loss for the Eternal City. What are you afraid of? It's not like he hasn't been there before. Someone said snappily, if he can come back alive once, there will be a second time. But the foreign side has already started to take him seriously. This time, the servant sent by the foreign side to the spirit battlefield will definitely be the best. That's right. When the time comes, what if? Just as everyone was guessing and worrying, Jiang Chun had already walked out of the small town of the spirit battlefield. Behind him, there were 29 people standing at the gate of the small town. Little brother, are you really going to fight alone? Aren't you going to die? Some people were bewildered. They had been teleported here a long time ago, and this was why they hadn't seen the mirror image. They also didn't know what Jiang Chun had done in the human battlefield. They also didn't know how terrifying Jiang Qin's fighting prowess was. Don't worry, I'll just take it as a vanguard and scout the way. Jiangchen looked back and smiled. The young man in white walked out just like that. Then Jiang Chun saw 30 servants from the alien realm. They were all low-level, profound divinities. Upper true gods? Is there really no one left in the Eternal City? They even sent upper true gods to the spirit battlefield? Boom! Before these foreign creatures even finished speaking, they heard an explosive noise. Then radiance erupted, undying flames surging, a mushroom cloud erupting from this group of foreign creatures. When everything was over, Jiang Chun was still dressed in white, without a trace of dust or blood on his body. Meanwhile, those 30 foreign servants disappeared, not even a strand of ashes remaining. My God, is this a monster? You killed a group of foreign servants? The group of people standing in the small town was dumbfounded. They had seen valiant people before, but they had never seen such a ferocious person. Was he still human? In the eyes of the creatures of the 6 realms, the foreign creatures were all monsters. However, right now, they had a type of misconception. Those foreign creatures, when placed before this white-clothed youth, were nothing more than trash. This young man was the real monster. Push! Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes. When his voice fell, the border formation of the spirit battlefield rotated, and the stars around him moved, pushing hundreds of millions of miles forward in an instant. The group of people was completely dumbfounded. Some people's minds went blank as they calculated how many years this was the first victory in the spirit battlefield. Most importantly, this victory was won by an upper true deity. What is that kid's background? Go and investigate. How can a kid with no foundation have such battle prowess? He just made a mess in the human battlefield, and now he's going to the spirit battlefield? In a large hall in the foreign territory, a group of kings could no longer sit still. It was one thing for the human battlefield to be flattened, forcing them to put up a waiver order, but now the spirit battlefield was going to be like this too. Shame. The foreign king with 6 wings on his back said coldly, "Our foreign territory's Tao is unique, and our cultivators are generally stronger than those of the 6 realms." Now a group of profound gods was actually killed by an upper true god, and they were killed in one move. Where is the face of our foreign territory? Investigate thoroughly. On this day, in the foreign territory, many diviners and great divination experts took action, beginning to deduce Jiang Chen's identity and background. However, on that day, all the diviners and great divination experts who participated in this matter suddenly died, erased by a mysterious force. Forbidden. There is indeed something wrong with that kid. He has a forbidden secret on him. The foreign territory's kings were shocked. Those diviners and great divination experts were all at the Lord God level. In the end, they all died. Looks like we need to personally go and take a closer look at him. The 6-winged king said in a deep voice, "As long as we don't take action and don't break the rules, it's fine." At this moment, Jiang Chun continued forward and had already arrived at the border of the territory. In front of him was the foreign territory. It was also a small town, and in front of the gate stood 10 foreign servants. When Jiang Chun arrived, the 10 foreign servants were stunned and even a little confused. What's going on? An upper true god? It can't be, right? Don't tell me that the territory in front was reclaimed by him. The group of foreign servants couldn't figure it out. How could such a Wakako human do it? 1 round, 3 rounds, 10 people in each round. 30 of you can come at me together. Jiang Chen didn't say much. He hooked his finger at the foreign creatures and said, "I'll flatten all of you. Kid, you're quite arrogant. We're all middle profound gods. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." The group of foreign creatures said disdainfully. They didn't plan to call out the remaining 20 people in the small town at all. However, at this moment, a majestic voice rang out from above the small town. Vaguely, 6 wings could be seen flapping in the void, stirring up waves of the void for thousands of miles. Attack together. When the foreign servants in the small town heard this, they were shocked. They thought to themselves, Why would the high and mighty six-winged king come to the spirit battlefield? They should be overseeing the foreign territory's main hall, or at the front lines of the battlefield, fighting with the top experts of Eternal City. However, they didn't think too much about it. The 30 foreign servants walked out of the small town and charged toward Jiang Chun, king of the foreign territory. Jiang Chun raised his head and said softly. Then his figure suddenly disappeared on the spot. Boom! Boom! Then a series of sonic booms rang out. It was as if a human-shaped Tyrannosaurus was charging. Poof! Boom! After a few breaths, the sound of explosions rang out again. At the same time, blood splattered out, and the sound of bodies collapsing rang out. The light of the explosion of the divine soul, and the soul bloomed like fireworks. This time, Jiang Chun used his physical body's power to charge back and forth twice before he managed to kill the 30 alien realm servants. It's a bit strenuous, Jiang Chun said softly. There was a trace of blood on his body. The 30 servants from the alien realm were all mid-level profound divinities. This time, Jiang Chun didn't have it as easy as before. However, Jiang Chun didn't use his full strength either. He only relied on the strength of his physical body. You have the aura of the heavenly death fire and the floating earth on your body. At this moment, the six-winged king exclaimed. His eyes were like scorching suns floating in the air as he stared at Jiang Chun. Chapter 7:28. Oh, you can feel it? Jiang Chun was surprised. He had always hidden the heavenly death fire and the octagonal floating earth in his soul and rarely used them. He didn't even want to use them. He didn't expect the six-winged king to see through it at a glance. So it's the descendant of the nine deaths supreme god. No wonder. The six-winged king was relieved, as if he had guessed Jiang Chun's identity. Then he escaped into the void, leaving only a sentence. What a pity, you'll die prematurely. Die prematurely? Heh. Jiang Chun laughed mockingly, and a cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Just like the human battlefield, I'll flatten the spirit battlefield. Buzz! At this moment, the territory formation was activated again, and the distance of hundreds of millions of miles was pushed through in an instant. He's really a monster. Who exactly is he? Which family in Eternal City is he from? Why haven't I seen or heard of him before? Behind him, the group of youths was still standing in the small town. They were in a complete mess, killing 30 mid-level profound gods by himself. This achievement was top-notch and dazzling no matter where it was. Moreover, it even attracted the famous six-winged king of the foreign domain. Mirror image? At the same time, the mirror image that had disappeared not long ago appeared again in front of the everlasting hall. Those who hadn't left yet were stunned. Looking at Jiang Chun standing on the spirit battlefield, they didn't know what to say. This is another merit? Is this guy going to defy the heavens? Everyone was moved. How old was Jiang Chun in this life? He had such combat strength after only cultivating for a few years. If he was allowed to grow up, would there be any opponents in this world? No one would have thought that an upper-level true god would have such combat strength. It was too heaven-defying. Even in prehistory, in the era of geniuses, such a character rarely appeared. Buzz! Just as everyone was waiting to see if Jiang Chun would continue to push, the space in front of the everlasting hall suddenly distorted, and then the mirror image dissipated. Someone was moved. This was the intervention of the great saint, who didn't want too many people to see Jiang Chun's invincible posture. The great saint is intentionally protecting him. It was not a good thing to be too invincible but have a low cultivation level. After all, there was a dark side to the human heart. The great saint was very clear that if he revealed too much about Jiang Chun, it would attract unnecessary trouble, and it might even lead to Jiang Chun's premature death. It seems that the great saint really thinks highly of him, someone said. It's time to pay a visit to the great saint. Is the situation in the Eternal Fortress going to change because of this person? For a moment, the various families and forces thought of many things and left one after another. At this moment, Jiang Chun continued to push forward. He continued forward and once again arrived at the border of the territory. This time, there weren't too many foreign creatures who came out from the small town up ahead, only 3 of them. However, these 3 foreign creatures were extremely special, no different from humans. If it weren't for the purple patterns on their faces, Jiang Chun would have mistaken them for humans. What's wrong? There are only 3 of you here? Jiang Chen's expression was calm, but his heart was tense. It was all because these 3 foreign creatures' cultivations were all at the upper profound deity level, reaching the highest cultivation limit of the spirit word battlefield. Moreover, the aura emitted by these 3 creatures was too terrifying, far surpassing that of ordinary profound gods. Jiang Chun had a feeling that with his current cultivation level, once he fought with these 3 creatures, he would definitely lose. There are only 3 of us in this battle, one of the creatures said. In front of you, no matter how many people there are, we won't have any advantage. Only essence is needed. Then, are the 3 of you coming together, or one by one? Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. Anyway, I'm the only one fighting on my side. Naturally, there are 3 of us. Since the 3 of us appeared together, the 3 of us will attack together. The 3 creatures were very direct. Obviously, they wanted to kill Jiang Chun. In response, Jiang Chun chuckled and said, "Come on." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, he saw the 3 of them rushing over. One of them was as bright as the sun. His blood energy soared into the sky and dyed half of the sky red. His hands were clenched into an unknown fist. Like a jade seal, it hung upside down, shattering the void and creating waves of black ripples. The ripples worked together with the fist and turned into a black Taotai. It opened its mouth like an abyss, as if it was going to swallow the sky. Another foreign creature stood in the air, a longbow appearing in his hands. The longbow was fully drawn, and a snow-white arrow was placed on the string. All the divine energy in the surroundings gathered on the arrowhead. This was a divine weapon. At least it was personally made by a titled deity. It was extremely powerful. To cultivators below the profound god level, this was undoubtedly fatal. The last foreign creature disappeared as if he had escaped into the darkness. At the same time, Jiang Chen's surroundings and even the ground beneath his feet turned into a stretch of darkness. A terrifying restrictive force shrouded Jiang Chen. Black chains and vines rose from the ground and bound Jiang Chen's body. "Very strong," Jiang Chen said bluntly, but there was a hint of mockery on his face. "You must die," one of them shouted angrily. "Today, we will take back the territory that originally belonged to us." "It belongs to you?" Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes and shouted, "Everything here originally belonged to the 6 realms. You invaded the territory of the 6 realms, and you still have the face to say that it belongs to you?" Buzz! As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of the 3 people changed greatly. It was because a tribulation cloud suddenly appeared in the sky. At the same time, Jiang Chen's aura skyrocketed from a middle true god to a lower divine god. "Heavenly tribulation? You dare to trick us?" The 3 of them were shocked. How would they dare to attack Jiang Chen? They all fled into the distance. However, there was still one person who could not escape in time and was locked on by the aura of the heavenly tribulation. He was going to transcend the tribulation with Jiang Chen. "After I'm done with the tribulation, I'll deal with the 2 of you," Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. During this period of time, Jiang Chen had been fighting. Although he did not use his full strength every time he attacked, it was also a kind of training. Now, Jiang Chen's foundation was stable, and he planned to break through at this moment. He sat cross-legged and did not care about the heavenly tribulation at all. He formed seals with his hands and cultivated the holy creation technique. This was the strongest true God cultivation technique. Jiang Chen wanted to cultivate the true God realm to perfection before he transcended the tribulation and became a true divine God. Boom! Boom! In the next moment, lightning fell from the sky and the shadows of ferocious beasts appeared. It was as if 10,000 beasts had gone berserk, drowning Jiang Chen and the foreign creature. However, these lightning bolts were nothing to Jiang Chen. His corporeal body was like a boulder, burning with inextinguishable fire. The moment the lightning touched his body, it was scattered. This body is freakish, right? This person is extremely sinister. The two foreign creatures who escaped the heavenly tribulation had ugly expressions. They watched as their companions struggled under the heavenly tribulation and finally died, being struck into ashes. On the other hand, Jiang Chun allowed the lightning to strike his body. His face was calm, and he was even minding his own business and cultivating the holy creation technique. Chapter 729. Every inch of his skin was emitting a holy and pure white radiance, as if it was full of stars. There seemed to be a god sitting cross-legged in every pore, chanting ancient scriptures. The light saint creation technique created the foundation of a true god and condensed the power of millions of divine Tao. The holy substance in the skin and pores were all fragments of divine Tao. When they fused together, they could form the godhead of a divine king. Because of this, after Jiang Chen's death, the master god of light became the person with the greatest hope of becoming a divine king as soon as possible. At this moment, Jiang Chun was sitting cross-legged, looking solemn. Lightning covered his body, and holy radiance lingered around him. As it rose and fell, it was as if waves were beating on his body. The ancient and obscure sound of ancient scriptures became clearer and clearer, but it was another language that no one could understand. That was the sound of the great Tao, the cry of the divine Tao. Half a day later, the heavenly tribulation disappeared. Jiang Chun gently opened his eyes, and in the depths of his eyes, wisps of divine Tao fragments flashed past like shooting stars. Buzz! At this moment, Jiang Chun stood up, and his aura skyrocketed. His cultivation completely stabilized at the lower celestial god level. Whoosh! Without saying a word, Jiang Chun was like a great rock spreading its wings, passing through the sky. His arm was raised high, like a long knife. His speed was extremely fast, like a phantom, and he arrived in front of a foreign creature in an instant. He raised his hand, and the knife fell. This foreign creature was immediately cleaved apart, and his body and soul were destroyed. I can't fight him head-on. The last foreign creature was terrified, and it came from the bottom of his heart. He immediately turned around and rushed into the small town. When I was born, Jiang Chun, there will be no more gods in the world. Jiang Chun had just broken through, and he was in high spirits. With a long roar, he struck out with his palm. His palm struck out continuously like a mountain range, and its speed was extremely fast. Rumble! With an explosion, Jiang Chen's palm fell in front of the small town, and he slapped the foreign creature to the ground. Then, he crushed him to death with one hand. Buzz! At this moment, the Eternal City's territory formation was activated again. The surrounding scenery changed, and the territory expanded by hundreds of millions of miles. It doesn't matter if you lose, but the key is that you lose to the same person. There's no harm in losing to the same person. The key is that he has just become a lesser celestial deity. Within a certain great hall in the foreign side, the expressions of several foreign kings were ugly to the extreme. Their hearts trembled. If they allowed Jiang Chun to grow up, he might become a threat to the other side. However, there were rules in the battlefield that had been set for thousands of years. Even if they were foreign kings, they still couldn't casually destroy it. Otherwise, with their style of doing things, they would have personally killed Jiang Chun. Stop pushing me around. Just as Jiang Chun was about to continue pushing, he heard an ethereal voice. If one listened carefully, it sounded like the sound of the great Tao. He's definitely above a chief god. Jiang Chun was shocked. He looked around, but didn't see a single person. Who are you? Jiang Chun asked solemnly. I'm fighting for the 6 worlds, fighting to reclaim our former territory. It's for your own good. That voice sounded again, saying worriedly, the foreign kings are already paying attention to you. If you continue to push, something unexpected might happen. There are rules in the battlefield. Can the foreign kings take action? Jiang Chun didn't mind, as long as the rules weren't broken. He was the strongest god in the spirit battlefield. The rules won't be broken. This is something that has been constant for thousands of years. Unless the supreme beings of the other side awaken and return, the other side won't dare to break the rules. That voice sounded worriedly. However, although the rules can't be broken, they can be changed. When Jiang Chun heard this, his heart moved. He was indeed worried. The foreign kings wouldn't take action. Then, would the realm restriction of the spirit battlefield be changed? Now, the highest cultivation in the spirit battlefield couldn't exceed the upper profound god. If it was changed, Jiang Chun definitely wouldn't be a match for the goddess. The rules haven't been changed for thousands of years. It can't be that it's just for me, right? Jiang Chun muttered. He didn't believe that it would be so coincidental. Moreover, Jiang Chun had just stepped into the lower celestial deity realm. Would the foreign kings really pay attention to him? Those were powerhouses who could stand shoulder to shoulder with chief gods, even above chief gods. That kind of supreme powerhouse. Jiang Chun was like an ant in their eyes. When the azure dragon looked down, how could there be a speck of dust in its eyes? I don't know who you are, but I've made up my mind, Jiang Chun said solemnly, taking large strides forward, charging out like a ferocious tiger. At the same time, in a certain great hall on the other side, the six-winged king's face was as black as ink. The three foreign kings that Jiang Chun killed previously were all his servants. His servants being killed wasn't a loss to the six-winged king. However, he couldn't hang on to his face. Since the other side only sent one person, then we'll also send one person here. Lest we end up being a topic of ridicule. When we win, our foreign side can't afford to lose face like this. The six-winged king said solemnly, "Pass down my order. Have 3 Sha go to the spirit battlefield. You must bring back that brat's head for me." "Yes, sir," a servant replied. Half a day later, Jiang Chun arrived at the border of the foreign side's territory again. This time, the small town in front of the foreign side's territory was very quiet. There was only a man who looked like a human standing there quietly. He had a pair of snow-white wings on his back, making him look like a white crane. However, there was also a small wing on the right side of his back, as if it hadn't grown yet. "You're the successor of the 9 Deaths, Supreme God?" When the man saw Jiang Chun arrive, his eyes narrowed, and his aura suddenly erupted. "The successor of the 9 Deaths, Supreme God?" Jiang Chun was stunned. After pondering for a moment, it seemed like that was indeed the case. Jiang Chun had obtained the cultivation method of the 8 Deaths body. Although he had never seen the 9 Deaths Supreme God in person, he could be considered his successor. How powerful was the 9 Deaths Supreme God back then, suppressing my foreign side until we couldn't breathe. If not for him having an error in his cultivation and falling in the sky beyond heaven, my foreign side wouldn't dare to step into the 6 realms now. When this man mentioned the 9 Deaths Supreme God, a hint of fear involuntarily flashed across his eyes. That era, for the 6 realms, was an extremely glorious era. But for the foreign side, that was an era of darkness. The 9 Deaths Supreme God was too powerful, sweeping through everything. No one in the world could match him. Back then, for the sake of perfecting his 9 Deaths divine art, 9 Deaths Supreme God even stepped into the foreign side, finding several supreme beings to fight. In the end, those supreme beings were seriously injured, and the 9 Deaths Supreme God returned with a look of disappointment. "It's just a pity that you're only his successor, and not him himself." This man changed the topic and said in a cold voice, "Today, if I kill you, this world will no longer have the 9 Deaths inheritance." Quite the tone. Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows, stared at that man, and asked, "Speaking of which, what's with the wings on your back? There's still one that hasn't fully grown? Or is it malnourished?" When this man heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. "What are you doing? Right now is the moment of life and death. You're concerned about my wings?" Chapter 730. This is the characteristic of my winged race. The man said proudly, "My winged race is a true royal race in the foreign realm. Everyone has 2 wings, and I'm about to grow 3 wings, so I can be conferred the title of Marquis. Then you aren't considered a servant of the foreign realm? Jiang Qin's eyes narrowed. This was the first time he had encountered a true foreign realm creature. Although those he had encountered before were very strong, they could only be considered servants. The one in front of him was actually a member of the foreign realm's royal race. You don't need to care about that. Now, you should think about where your soul will go after you die. The man said coldly, I'll let you know when you die. I'm Sansha. What true body? Jiang Qin curled his lips. How many times have I reincarnated? When have I not been a divine king? You malnourished birdman. Birdman? How dare you? Sansha was furious. The word birdman was taboo for the winged race. He was furious. As he flapped his wings, it was as if he had transformed into a rock, charging toward Jiang Qin with a monstrous might. Along the way, translucent feathers danced around him, tearing through the void. The sound of air being torn apart suddenly rang out, and it was as if thunder was jumping in the void. So what if you have wings? Jiang Qin glared. The undying bird Dao soul appeared, and a pair of flaming wings appeared on its back. Boom! As the wings flapped, heat waves surged into the sky, and inextinguishable flames swept out. Jiang Qin dashed forward and formed a mudra with his fist. A radiance as big as a mountain fell. Double space. Sansha roared, and the feathers beside him separated, one on the left and one on the right. Lightning on one side, void storm on the other, surrounded Jiang Qin on the left and right. A powerful force appeared, like a cage, trying to trap Jiang Qin and seal him. Emperor's Vine. Jiang Qin didn't dare to be careless and hurriedly summoned the Emperor's Vine. Purplish gold vines erupted from both sides like pillars, blocking the cage on the left and right. Then earth shrinking was used. In an instant, Jiang Qin appeared in front of Sansha. His left hand formed a fist seal, and his right hand formed a talisman. When both hands fell at the same time, it was as if a golden bell fell. Boom! With a loud explosion, Sansha's body was sent flying. Many of his feathers fell to the ground, and even his body was distorted. He had almost been knocked off his feet. What? Jiang Qin was astonished. Under this punch, the other party actually didn't die. Even his physical body wasn't beaten up? This can't be right. At this moment, Jiang Qin began to doubt his own strength. Previously, Jiang Qin was able to kill profound God with just the strength of his physical body. Now, under the fist imprint, even a profound God could not be killed. This was too unexpected. Impossible. At the same time, Sansha was even more shocked. He knew very well that if he hadn't burned his life-saving talisman at the last moment, he would have definitely been killed by Jiang Qin's punch. I have to use all my strength, Jiang Qin thought to himself. His face was gloomy as he thought to himself that he had run into a tough opponent today. On the other side, Sansha's expression was also extremely gloomy, but he did not say anything. He was already thinking about how to escape. He was almost killed by a single punch. How could he fight this battle? He had seen ferocious people before, but he had never seen such a ferocious person. Is he even human? When did such a monster appear in the 6 realms? 1,000 transformations, heaven slash. At this moment, Jiang Qin was very decisive. A green lamp floated above his head. He gathered all his strength and slashed. Puff! Then the sky was split open. Everything lost its color except for the sword ray that seemed eternal. Puff! With a dull sound, blood rained down along with feathers. Sansha did not even have time to think of an escape route before he was killed by Jiang Qin. Jiang Qin was dumbfounded. He thought that even the 1,000 transformations heaven slash could not kill Sansha. He did not expect that he would be killed with a single slash. Did I overestimate him? Jiang Qin muttered. Suddenly, his nose wrinkled as he smelled the smell of barbecued meat. Upon closer inspection, the 3 wings that had fallen to the ground at the place where the 3 killers had died hadn't been shattered at all. However, the terrifying power had roasted these 3 wings. So fragrant, Jiang Qin muttered. He walked to the wings and hesitated for a moment. Then he picked up the smallest one and put it in his mouth. Hiss! Delicious! After that, Jiang Chun did not stop. He wolfed down the wings and ate them all in a few breaths. He still looked like he had not had enough. I'm going to kill him. And all of this was seen by the six-winged king. He roared and roared in the palace. His eyes were red, and he almost went berserk. If the other kings did not stop him, he would have gone to the spirit battlefield to kill Jiang Chun. How dare you eat the wings of the winged tribe? The six-winged king roared. To the winged tribe, this was a humiliation, a great humiliation. This bread has gone too far. A tiger-headed king had a strange expression. Who in the entire other world did not know about the taboos of the winged tribe? They could not mention the word birdman, and they could not eat all creatures with wings. I'm looking forward to it. If only a few more winged tribe members came. Jiang Chun licked his lips and thought to himself that the taste was really good. Furthermore, the wings actually contained pure energy. After eating 2 large and 1 small wings, the 3 of them actually improved their cultivation by quite a bit. Listen to what this Brad is saying. The six-winged king was furious. The 6 wings on his back flapped, sweeping up great Tao ripples. Six-winged, let my heavenly tiger tribe go this time. The tiger-headed king comforted. It just so happens that one of my clansmen has just reached the upper profound god level recently. His combat strength is extremely strong. Hurry up and go. I'll kill him. I'll burn his head into a sky lantern. I'll burn him for endless years and let him suffer endless torture. The six-winged king's face was so gloomy that black water could ooze out. Six-winged, don't worry. That clansman of mine is very strong. He can be considered one of the top 10 prodigies of the same realm in my tribe. The tiger-headed king was very confident. Then, everyone unanimously decided to send out that prodigy of the heavenly tiger tribe. At this moment, Jiang Chun continued to advance. That ethereal voice sounded in his ears again. Don't continue to push. When the time comes, even we won't be able to protect you. I don't need protection, Jiang Chun said. As long as the rules aren't broken, I'm invincible here. The king of foreign lands is really paying attention to you. No worries. What are you afraid of? Jiang Chun joked. He even licked his lips with a look of anticipation. I hope I can still meet the winged tribe. Sigh. Finally, Jiang Chun arrived at the border of the territory once again. This time, it wasn't the winged tribe that was waiting for him, but a youth with a tiger's head. His figure was very burly, and blood energy condensed above his head like a blood cloud. You're the one who killed Sansha? The youth from the heavenly tiger tribe said coldly. A life for a life. Why isn't it from the winged tribe? Jiang Chun was a little disappointed. He thought that the winged tribe would send someone to take revenge. But who would have thought that they would send a tiger? However, Jiang Chun's eyes soon lit up. He stared at the tiger's head and muttered, this tiger's head... Chapter 731. What are you thinking about? The sky tiger race youth flew into a rage, actually seeing appetite in Jiang Chun's eyes. What the F*** CK? Treating my sky tiger royal race as food? Sky Tiger King, this... His gaze isn't right. Inside the foreign palace, a humanoid monarch had a strange expression, a hint of foreboding suddenly appearing in his heart. Even the Sky Tiger King's face turned green, but he was still very confident and said, It's fine, that clansman of mine is very strong. No, you see for yourself. Just as his voice fell, the humanoid monarch pointed at the scene projection inside the palace. The moment the Sky Tiger King saw it, his 2 eyes turned black, and he nearly fainted. In just the time they exchanged a few words, Jiang Chun already killed the Sky Tiger race youth. At this moment, Jiang Chun was currently holding a tiger head, gnawing on it until his mouth was full of oil. I'll kill him. The Sky Tiger King exploded. Under a tiger roar, the entire palace was shaking. He sympathized with the 6-winged monarch previously, but now his clansman was also suffering the same treatment. That tiger head was eaten clean by Jiang Chun. Not a strand of meat left. Burp, after gnawing. Jiang Chun patted his stomach, licked his lips, and said with emotion, "Didn't expect a tiger head to be so delicious. Much better than the winged race's wings." "Don't stop me. I'm going to kill him," the Sky Tiger King roared. If not for the few monarchs around him stopping him, he really would have attacked. The six-winged monarch had a strange expression, his heart suddenly much more balanced. He looked at that humanoid monarch and said, "Send your clansmen over. He probably doesn't eat humans." However, the moment these words came out, this humanoid monarch shuddered all over and muttered, "We're not humans either. We'll transform into our true forms after death. Isn't it just the dragonfish race? They look similar to humans. I don't believe that he can eat humans." The Sky Tiger King said in a deep voice, "My Sky Tiger race and the winged race have both sent people over. Your dragonfish race isn't preparing to take action. Then send one over," the humanoid monarch muttered. But he was mentally prepared. Sending someone over would most likely also be sending a life. They could all see that Jiang Chun, a lower heavenly deity, was invincible under the profound god unless the honored god made a move. Half a day later, Jiang Chun adjusted his breathing for a while and then came to the border of the territory again. It can't be? At this moment, Jiang Chun was completely dumbfounded as he stared at the humanoid being in front of him, his mind filled with question marks. It was all because this humanoid life form was actually only a lesser heavenly deity. This wasn't appropriate, right? How many times had Eternal City's territory been expanded? Logically speaking, the creatures from the other side should be getting stronger and stronger. What was going on now? Why did they send a lower heavenly deity over? Stop fighting. I know what my clan wants. At this moment, before Jiang Chun could say anything, before he could do anything, the humanoid creature directly placed a palm on the top of his head. He committed suicide. I'll go? Were they really not going to hit him? Aren't you going to struggle a little? Jiang Chun was dumbfounded. He won? Dragonfish King, you are truly shameless. Sending a lower heavenly deity to his death is really something. In the main hall of the other side, the Heavenly Tiger King and the Six-Winged King's expressions were extremely ugly. They secretly thought that the Dragonfish King was too cunning. Gentlemen, this person is already invincible below the profound god level. At least, I'm afraid that none of the profound gods in my clan are his match. The Dragonfish King was very direct. Since he's going to die anyway, why not send the weakest? You are destroying the prestige of the other side. You have completely disgraced the other side. Not long ago, which one of the creatures sent out by the other side would commit suicide? The kings were furious. The Dragonfish King was too despicable. However, these kings felt much better in their hearts very quickly. This was because the Dragonfish clan was indeed no different from humans when they were alive. However, after they died, they would revert to their original form. At this moment, a Dragonfish King appeared in front of Jiang Chun. It was a creature with a fish tail. Without any hesitation, Jiang Chun directly roasted it with fire. Then, he ate it in large chunks, his mouth full of oil, and even smacked his lips from time to time. In fact, Jiang Chun seemed to know that someone was spying on him. He even gave this guy a thumbs up and said with a smile, "The taste is not bad. Thank you for your hospitality." "Don't stop me. I must kill him." The Dragonfish King was also furious. "I'm giving you my life for nothing, and you really want to eat it? Do I not want face?" "No." If this continues, the spirit battlefield will also be flattened by him. A very short and small king of the other side said in a low voice, "This rule has persisted for so many years. It's time to change it." "That's right. Our foreign side has always had the upper hand in the battlefield of our territory. Our foreign side has always held the leading position." Several kings of the other side agreed. They could not let Jiang Chun continue to push forward. Not only would this hurt the other side's morale, it would also lose face. Soon, the foreign side began to discuss with the great saints of the Eternal City through the use of divine secret arts. There was no need to think too much about the result. The other side was powerful and had always held the advantage. If they wanted to change the rules, Eternal City's side was also helpless. Of course, the other side did not go too far. They only changed the rules of the human battlefield and spirit battlefield. The rules of the other battlefields did not change. Come back quickly. At this moment, that voice appeared by Jiang Chen's ears again. And, of course, there was no need for this voice to remind him. Jiang Chen was already on guard. All the pores on his body contracted and his hair stood on end. He was already close to the border of the territory. At this moment, he felt an extremely dangerous aura. The aura far exceeded that of a profound god. At this moment, Jiang Chen guessed that the other side most likely changed the rules of the spirit battlefield and sent out experts above the profound god level. Above the profound god level. I will definitely lose. Jiang Chen was not conceited. He was also very clear about his own fighting strength. His cultivation was lower than that of a celestial god, yet he could suppress a profound god. This was already rare throughout history and could be called a monster. This fighting strength was already at the peak. However, when facing a god, even if it was the weakest god, Jiang Chen could not defeat him. Many thanks for the hospitality of the other side's king. I am tired today and will take my leave first, Jiang Chen said loudly. After saying this, he broke into a run and rushed back into the small town. Then, the divine light of war scattered down and enveloped Jiang Chen's body. In a few breaths' time, he was transported to the Eternal Hall in Eternal City. Damn! He ran so fast. This brat's divine sense is sharp. The group of kings from the other side exploded with anger. They did not announce the change in the rules of the battlefield only because they wanted to kill Jiang Chen. However, they did not expect that Jiang Chen's divine sense would be so sharp. Before he even reached the border of the territory, he already sensed some clues. Now he was gone. He will definitely step into the battlefield again. When the time comes, we will kill him. The six-winged king ground his teeth. He wanted nothing more than to slaughter his way into Eternal City and personally kill Jiang Chen. Chapter 732. Fellow Taoist, how was the battle? At this moment, in the Everlasting Hall, the old monk held a Buddhist seal and asked. It was all right. We took back some territory, Jiang Chen said modestly. While speaking, Jiang Chen couldn't help but take a few more glances at the old monk. He felt that there was a slight change in the old monk's aura. It was as if there was a wisp of demonic aura. Has he been bedeviled? Jiang Chen thought to himself, then shook his head and said to himself, this is a great saint. How could he be bedeviled? Buzz! At this moment, a tremor came from the sky. Then, the void split open, and the personal disciple of the first great saint, the green-clothed woman that Jiang Chen had seen before, appeared in front of the Everlasting Hall. She didn't see Jiang Chen, but she knew that Jiang Chen was in the Everlasting Hall. Announced the great saint's imperial edict. The green-clothed woman didn't let Jiang Chen come out. She opened the silk book and directly announced, Jiang Chen's battle achievements in the spirit battlefield are outstanding. He is awarded a 5th grade merit and is granted 3 days of cultivation in the spirit pagoda. Jiang Chen's battle achievements in the human battlefield are outstanding. He is awarded a 6th grade merit and is granted 3 days of cultivation in the spirit pagoda. Jiang Chen's 7th grade merit, 6th grade merit, and 5th grade merit are combined. He is awarded a 4th grade attack and is granted 3 days of cultivation in the spirit pagoda. After reading the imperial edict, the green-clothed woman turned around and stepped into the void. But at this moment, she paused and said softly, I know you can hear me. I advise you not to leave the Everlasting Hall. You're in danger now. Jiang Chen could naturally hear her, but he didn't understand what she meant. Danger? How dangerous could it be in the Eternal City? Moreover, Jiang Chen was now a 4th grade merit. Who would dare to attack him? But since the green-clothed woman said so, there must be a reason. Could it be that there's a big shot who wants to secretly attack me? Jiang Chen frowned, but he felt that it wasn't possible. Now that he had a 4th grade merit, he could be considered a meritorious official of the 6 realms. Who dared to disrespect him and attack him? However, Jiang Chun felt a little weak when he thought of the complicated forces in Eternal Fortress. Master, will you protect me? Jiang Chun asked shamelessly. As long as you're in the Everlasting Hall, nothing will happen. The old monk was dignified, but for some reason, his shadow was especially dark. It was like an abyss. If one looked at it a few more times, they would feel like they were being swallowed. The old monk was also a great saint. If he was willing to shelter Jiang Chun, there would naturally be no problem. However, Jiang Chun's heart palpitated. He felt that the old monk in front of him had changed. The first time he saw this old monk, he gave off a kind and warm feeling. But now, he gave off an indescribable sense of danger. It was like an abyss that could swallow you up at any time. Master, what is the so-called Spirit Pagoda? Jiang Chun asked. It's the holy land of cultivation in Eternal Fortress. It has the support of a prehistoric supreme cultivation formation. Cultivating in it for a day is equivalent to cultivating in the outside world for 10 days. The old monk said, "Do you want to go?" "I want to go." Jiang Chun counted with his fingers. He should be able to go to the Spirit Pagoda to cultivate for more than 10 days. Moreover, Jiang Chun also wanted to find an excuse to leave this place. He didn't want to face this old monk. His heart was palpitating. It was very dangerous. "Are you afraid of me?" The old monk felt something in his heart. He pinched a Buddhist seal and said, "Actually, you don't have to be afraid of me. What will happen will happen. Maybe it's darkness, maybe it's light. I don't understand what Master is talking about." Jiang Chun pretended to be confused, but he was even more sure that there was something wrong with this old monk. Jiang Chun was thinking, what mistake did this old monk make back then? Why was he punished to guard the Everlasting Hall? In the darkness, there will be a lamp to guide the way. I will return. A faint light flashed through the old monk's eyes. At that time, whether it's good or evil, everything will depend on the will of the heavens. Master, have you become a demon? Jiang Chun couldn't help but ask. Become a demon? The old monk said softly. Then he laughed and said, there's no such thing as a demon in this world. Everything depends on one's heart. Wrong and right. Let the world judge. Looks like he really has become a demon, Jiang Chun thought. The old monk's appearance was very similar to Jiang Haoran and the others back then. Jiang Chun was sure that this old monk had definitely become a demon. When he thought of this, Jiang Chun didn't dare to stay here. He waved at the old monk and said, Master, I'm going to the Spirit Pagoda to cultivate for a few days. When I'm done, I'll return to the Everlasting Hall. Fellow Taoist, please go ahead. The old monk didn't force Jiang Chun to stay. In other words, he didn't plan to keep Jiang Chun here. Just like that, Jiang Chun walked out of the Everlasting Hall and prepared to head to the Spirit Pagoda to cultivate. However, just as he walked out of the Everlasting Hall, a cold light broke through the air. This cold light was extremely fast, and it was even coiled with obscure runes that carried an extremely terrifying power. If Jiang Chun's divine sense wasn't sharp enough to move to the side, this cold light would have taken his life. Even if he had a holy physique and cultivated the 9 deaths supreme God's technique, this cold light could instantly shatter his physical body and soul. Damn, is it really that dangerous? Jiang Chun's heart palpitated. He hurriedly turned around and returned to the Everlasting Hall. Fellow Taoist, why did you come back? The old monk asked with a smile that wasn't a smile. Someone outside wants to kill me. Jiang Chun's face was gloomy. He had a 4th-grade merit. Who in the Eternal City had the guts to assassinate him? Oh! The old monk seemed surprised, but in reality, he knew better than anyone else. The Eternal City was an iron bucket in the eyes of outsiders, but in reality, there were already foreign creatures who had infiltrated it. Even a few of the top forces in the Eternal City must have joined the foreign side. It was just that they didn't know which force it was. Of course, this was a secret. Ordinary people didn't know. Even people like Xian Qing and the Desolate God only knew some general things and didn't know the details. Now, The old monk didn't even need to think to know that the person who assassinated Jiang Chun was definitely someone who joined the foreign side. Master, can you send me to the spirit pagoda? Jiang Chun asked. I'm punished here and can't leave. This is the first great saint's intention. The old monk smiled bitterly. I can't help you. When these words came out, Jiang Chun immediately felt helpless. He couldn't leave this place and had to face an old monk who seemed to have joined the devil. This was too dangerous. Master, if you joined the devil, would you attack me? Jiang Chun thought for a while and decided to speak his mind. I have no enmity with you. Why would I attack you? The old monk was stunned. Don't tell me you think that people who join the devil will kill the innocent. Jiang Chun didn't know what to say. In the eyes of the world, people who joined the devil were synonymous with bloody violence. Their hands were stained with blood. They didn't care about good or evil and only cared about killing. However, when he thought of Zhang Haoran, Chen Lu Dao, and Lu Songyang, Jiang Chun knew that he had misunderstood people who joined the devil. In the end, whether they joined the devil or not, they were just cultivating. It was just that after joining the devil, their temperament would change drastically, and they would do something that even they couldn't control. Stay. After a while, the eternal city will be peaceful, the old monk said. Then I'll stay, Jiang Chun said softly. Chapter 733. In the following days, Jiang Chun didn't go anywhere and stayed in the everlasting hall. Outside of cultivation, he strolled around the everlasting hall and looked at the spirit tablets with unfamiliar names engraved on them. Some of the names on the tablets were dim, without a trace of divine light. The everlasting lamps beside the tablets had also been extinguished. These people were all dead. Basically, all of them died in battle. Some of the tablets were still lit, flickering with divine light, as the everlasting lamps burned leisurely. Among them, a few tablets were very special. The divine light on them was very rich, as if the heavenly river was hanging on them, flickering with light. At the same time, the everlasting lamps beside the tablets were very bright, indicating that these people's lifespan was very long and their vitality was very vigorous. Jiang Chun saw the names of Xianqing, Desolate God, and Xianjian. The divine light on these three tablets was like a lingering cloud, especially Xianjian. His everlasting lamp was like a brilliant sun. Xianjian is very strong. Jiang Chun sighed lightly. As expected of the Xian clan's chief of this generation, he was still fighting on the front lines and hadn't died yet. However, what surprised Jiang Chun the most was that the Desolate God and Xianqing's tablets were actually sealed with shackles, as if some special method had been applied to them. Even their everlasting lamps were covered with a layer of cover, covering the light inside. Only a trace of fire could be seen, but it was still much brighter than ordinary people. Master, why are Xianqing and Desolate God's tablets sealed? Jiang Chun doubtfully asked. Naturally, there's a reason. You will know very soon. The old monk said and pointed to the other tablets. They were the same as Xianqing's and were sealed. The everlasting lamps were also covered. These people are very special, Jiang Chun asked. They can be considered very special. The old monk nodded. Jiang Chun was puzzled. What was going on with these people? Did they have some secret on them? However, seeing that the old monk didn't seem to want to say more, Jiang Chun also didn't continue to ask. After a few breaths, Jiang Chun's eyes focused as he saw an extremely special tablet. There was no name on this tablet, and there was also no everlasting lamp beside it. This is an empty token? Furthermore, even though the divine light on this tablet was incomparably resplendent, its surface was as black as ink. It was as if it had been contaminated by something extremely evil, and not even a ray of light could shine into it. Even the divine light radiating from the surrounding tablets was unable to approach this tablet, and was kept 3 inches away from it. This is my brand. The old monk seemed to have seen through Jiang Chun's doubts, and said frankly, in the entire eternal citadel, I am the most special. Does it have anything to do with you becoming a demon? Jiang Chun was getting more and more curious about the old monk. He had a feeling that the old monk wasn't simple at all. Perhaps he was once a top-notch figure in the eternal citadel and could even stand shoulder to shoulder with the first great saint. I have already said that there is no demon in this world. It is only because the people of this world are afraid that there is a demon. The old monk said, "Then why is the great master's sign black? Why doesn't it have a name? Why isn't there a lamp beside it?" Jiangchen asked. When the old monk heard that, he smiled but did not explain. Perhaps there was something that was hard to say, or perhaps it was related to something taboo. Instead of worrying about this, why don't you think about what you should do in the future? The old monk changed the topic, but his expression was very serious as he reminded him, "You won't be able to stay in the eternal citadel for long. Sooner or later, you will have to go to the ninth heaven divine world." "I know." Jiangchen nodded and said, "Actually, I should have left after I obtained the thick earth divine technique." "Then why did you stay until now?" The old monk smiled faintly. From the looks of it, he most likely knew why Jiangchen wanted to stay. Jiangchen's old face also turned red as he said weakly, "There are too many enemies in the ninth heaven divine world. If I were to ascend with this realm, I would probably be dead before I could even land." "So, you plan to raise your cultivation level in the eternal citadel and wait until you are strong enough to go to the ninth heaven divine world?" The old monk said, "I have this plan." Jiangchen nodded. However, the old monk shook his head, indicating that Jiangchen was no longer suitable to stay in the eternal citadel. He vaguely told Jiangchen that the eternal citadel was going to be in chaos and that the sky was going to change. At that time, many people would be affected, especially those top forces and those famous geniuses. They would all cease to exist in that chaos. And now, who in the entire eternal citadel didn't know Jiangchen? If Jiangchen didn't leave the eternal citadel before the chaos started, he would definitely be implicated. Of course, even now, there were already people who wanted to make a move on Jiangchen. Therefore, the eternal citadel was already very dangerous for Jiangchen. Is there going to be a purge? Jiangchen could guess some things. The so-called chaos was most likely to be a purge. Within the eternal citadel, there were forces that secretly sided with the foreign realm and rebelled against the six realms. This was a malignant tumor, and the eternal citadel definitely couldn't tolerate them. "Don't worry." The old monk didn't want to say more. He went to the side, sat cross-legged, and started to cultivate. Jiangchen didn't ask. He sat beside the old monk and also started to cultivate. But after half an incense stick's time, Jiangchen felt that something was wrong. He felt that there seemed to be an extremely terrifying force appearing beside him, but it was harmless to him. This force was full of divinity and could nourish the physical body, and even the divine soul and Tao soul could be nourished. It was especially so for his doctrine souls. Jiangchen could feel that his 3 doctrine souls were going to transform and advance under this power. He suddenly opened his eyes and happened to see the old monk holding a seal. Runes curled around him like jade seals. Every jade seal was different, and they revolved around him. At the same time, a golden light scattered from the void above the old monk's head. It was a wisp of power that overflowed from this golden light that caused a slight change in Jiangchen's Tao soul. Is this the cultivation technique that the master cultivates? Jiangchen thought to himself. This cultivation technique was definitely extraordinary. It could actually improve the Tao soul. Do you want to cultivate this cultivation technique? The old monk opened his eyes and still had that spurious smile on his face. "Your smile is so fake," Jiangchen muttered. It was as if he was forcing a smile on his face. That stiff expression was truly unbearable. "Smile more now. Maybe I won't smile in the future, and I might even forget how to smile." The old monk sighed, revealing a trace of bitterness and helplessness. Then, he stared at Jiangchen and asked again, "Do you want to cultivate this cultivation technique? Is this cultivation technique targeted at the Tao soul?" Jiangchen frowned. "I can feel that there's a slight change in my Tao soul." "Soul Ascension Demonic Technique," the old monk said. "It can make the Tao soul sublimate, but it's listed as a demonic technique by the world." "Why?" Jiangchen asked. Jiangchen was also puzzled. Ever since he was with the old monk, there were so many questions. Chapter 734. Because after cultivating this soul-raising demonic technique, you might end up like me. The old monk smiled bitterly and said, "You will lose yourself and exile yourself. I will no longer be me. That true self will disappear forever." Jiangchen was confused. He rolled his eyes, indicating that he did not understand. Then I'll put it simply. Cultivating the soul-raising demonic technique will make you very strong, but you will also lose some things. The old monk said, "You should know that there is karma in this world. There are gains and losses. If you gain something, you will lose something." "I know this." Jiangchen frowned and said, "Even if I don't cultivate the soul-raising demonic technique, I can still become very strong. I can even be much stronger than in my previous life. This technique can make you very strong in a short period of time." The old monk said. When these words were spoken, Jiangchen was immediately tempted. What did Jiangchen lack the most now? What he lacked the most was time. He needed to become strong in a short period of time. Otherwise, he would not be able to deal with the dangers in the future. Incomplete Heavenly Manual, Thick Earth Divine Manual, 9 Deaths Divine Technique. The reason why Jiangchen wanted to cultivate so many techniques was so that he could quickly increase his cultivation. Now an opportunity was in front of him. Jiangchen had no reason to reject it. Even if he had to lose some things, Jiangchen could accept it. "I want to cultivate." Jiangchen's eyes focused. "Master, please teach me." "This technique is very simple. There's only one level. You only need to cultivate for 2 hours every morning," the old monk said as his finger landed on Jiangchen's forehead. The cultivation method of the soul-raising demonic technique was imprinted into Jiangchen's mind. Jiangchen comprehended for a while and could not help but be stunned. This technique was really simple. It was just like the yellow rank technique on the godless continent. One could understand it at a glance. The key is that you can persevere. Year after year, day after day. The old monk said, "If you stop for a day, all your previous efforts will be wasted. This is quite difficult." Jiangchen said softly. Cultivating for 2 hours every morning seemed simple, but in fact, it was very difficult. After all, different things would happen every day. Who could guarantee that they could do it every day? "I'll do my best," Jiangchen said as he stared at the old monk. He couldn't help but ask, "What will I lose by cultivating this skill?" "I don't know. It varies from person to person." The old monk shook his head. "For example, I lost myself and lost my most important companion." At this point, a genuine smile appeared on the old monk's face. He continued, "However, that friend of mine will be back soon. I'll wait for him here." "Partner?" Jiangchen frowned. Out of 10 sentences spoken by the old monk, he could only understand 3 to 5 sentences at most. This old monk's words were too profound. The old monk didn't want to say more, so Jiangchen didn't continue asking. It happened to be early in the morning. Jiangchen sat cross-legged and began to cultivate the soul ascension demonic technique. Jiangchen felt a very strange power fall from the top of his head the moment the demonic technique was activated. It seemed to have come from above the 9 heavens, yet it also seemed to have come from the endless void. This power didn't seem to belong to this world. It was beyond the 6 realms. Jiangchen didn't think too much about it. He guided this power into his body. When it flowed through his limbs and bones, his body emitted divine light. It was warm and comfortable. All the pores on his body opened up and spat out divine light. At the same time, his soul was covered with a layer of light. It was like the star sand, sacred and mysterious. The biggest change was the 3 Tao souls. Under the nourishment of this power, Jiangchen's 3 Tao souls all showed some changes. The emperor's vine became more solid. Its vines became thicker. The largest vine was even twisting and shrinking as if it was turning into a tree trunk. Is it turning from a vine into a tree? Jiangchen was stunned. He had never heard of the emperor's vine evolving. Moreover, Even if it was evolving, it should be the same type. How could a vine become a tree? What surprised Jiangchen the most was that the undying bird Dao soul also changed. Among the three Dao souls, the undying bird Dao soul had gone through nirvana twice. It was very different and had its own intelligence. At this moment, it told Jiangchen that it was about to go through nirvana again. Moreover, this nirvana was very special. He couldn't tell what it was. Perhaps there would be an extreme change. Will it be okay? Jiangchen asked worriedly. No, I think it's a good thing, the undying bird Dao soul said. I have a feeling that it might turn into an ancestral soul. Ancestral soul? What's that? Jiangchen asked. There were millions of Dao souls in the world. There were also very special Dao souls. However, this was the first time Jiangchen heard of ancestral souls. Of course you don't know. Ancestral souls only existed when the world was created. After that, due to the changes in the Tao, they no longer appeared. The undying bird Dao soul said. This was its inherited memory. If not for the birth of intelligence, these memories wouldn't have awakened. Every Dao soul is actually a miniature version. The undying bird Dao soul explained. The first Dao soul in the world is the most complete and the most powerful. And those Dao souls are the ancestral souls. At this point, the undying bird Dao soul suddenly fell silent. Jiangchen's divine will sank into the soul. He saw a cocoon on the undying bird Dao soul's body. The undying bird Dao soul was wrapped in it. It seemed to be going through nirvana. Suddenly, Jiangchen's expression froze. He saw that the ever-changing heavenly lamp had also undergone a shocking change. Originally, it was a green lamp with a dim light. At this moment, there was a figure beside the green lamp. It was like an old man. Upon closer inspection, it looked like a young man. The illusory figure stretched out one hand, as if it was holding the ever-changing heavenly lamp. This scene was very strange. Jiangchen didn't know whether it was good or bad. Could it be that the ever-changing heavenly lamp can also evolve? Jiangchen was shocked. According to what Jiangchen knew, the ever-changing heavenly lamp was the strongest Dao soul in the world, and there was no possibility of it evolving. That was because it was the strongest to begin with. There was no need for it to evolve, and there was no possibility of it evolving. However, from the looks of it, there seemed to be a change in the ever-changing heavenly lamp. Of course, it was hard to say if it could really evolve. This soul ascension fiend technique is truly strange, Jiangchen thought, and continued to cultivate the soul ascension fiend technique. At that moment, the old monk stood beside Jiangchen. He narrowed his eyes and saw a pitch-black shadow appear behind Jiangchen. The shadow was very faint and could not be seen clearly, as though it would dissipate at any moment. If not for the old monk's profound cultivation, he would not have been able to tell that it was an illusory figure. You still chose this path in the end, the old monk sighed. He did not know if it was right or wrong to impart the soul ascension fiend technique to Jiangchen. It's not that I'm harming you, but you don't have time, the old monk said softly. Time passed slowly. After dawn, when Jiangchen continued to circulate the soul ascension fiend technique, there was no effect. He opened his eyes and saw the old monk in front of him. He could not help but ask, Master, can I only cultivate every morning? Chapter 735. After cultivating the soul ascension demonic technique, Jiangchen's curiosity and anticipation became more and more serious. He wanted to know if his three Dao spirits could really level up. Needless to say, the undying bird Dao soul had already undergone rebirth twice, and now it was about to undergo rebirth for the third time. This was a Dao soul that would definitely advance. Of course, whether it would succeed or not was unknown. As for the myriad change, heavenly lamp, and emperor's vine, Jiangchen was looking forward to it, but he was also very puzzled. From ancient times until now, he had never heard of these two Dao souls advancing, especially the myriad change, heavenly lamp, as the strongest Dao soul. Could it still advance? It was already the strongest Tao soul. If it continued to advance, how could the other Tao souls survive? You can only cultivate every morning. The old monk explained, morning is the time when vitality is the most vigorous, and it is also the beginning of all things. The vitality and divine power of heaven and earth are the richest, and even the power of the great Tao is the purest at this time. The soul ascension demonic technique can only be cultivated with this purest energy. That is to say, as long as you have the purest energy, you can cultivate the soul ascension demonic technique without any restrictions. Jiang Chen asked. The old monk heard this, thought for a moment, and said with a frown, in theory, this is the case. But in the environment of heaven and earth, other than in the morning, where can there be the purest energy? That's true. Jiang Chen sighed helplessly. In this way, he could only cultivate for a while in the morning every day. Benefactor, something has happened outside these few days, and many people are looking for you. The old monk's expression was slightly strange, and he asked, did you get into trouble? Who is looking for me? Jiang Chen was stunned. Could it be that many people wanted to kill him? Was this fourth-class merit a fake? Moreover, although the Eternal City was very big, there were only a few top experts in sections. Could it be that those experts and leaders of the sects had defected to the other side? This couldn't be, right? I heard that they want you to complete the wedding. The old monk's expression became more and more strange, and he said, more than 10 forces are looking for you, and a few of them have already found me here, right outside the everlasting hall. What the F***CK? Jiang Chen was shocked. How could he forget about this? Back then, he had received so many betrothal gifts and arranged so many marriages. Now, these people had come knocking on his door. Master, what do you think I should do now? Jiang Chen was a little flustered. There were already people who wanted to kill Jiang Chen in the Eternal City. If he were to offend so many top sects now, Jiang Chen wouldn't be able to stay any longer. In fact, as soon as he stepped out of the everlasting hall, he might be killed immediately. Become a monk? The old monk thought about it and said, Buddhist disciples don't care about worldly matters. Become a monk? Become a monk? Jiang Chen stood rooted to the ground, a little confused for a moment. Becoming a monk did not seem like it was necessary to get married. However, would those forces agree? This was not the secular world. Besides, monks can also renounce asceticism. I'm leaving soon. If you become a monk and accept my mantle, you'll be in charge of the everlasting hall in the future. The old monk said, as the leader of the everlasting hall, there aren't many people in the Eternal City who would dare to touch you. At that time, the Tao race and the Buddhist race will also stand on your side. The Tao race and the Buddhist race were the top forces in the Eternal City, especially the Tao race. The current #1 great saint came from the Tao race. With the support of these two top forces, what did Jiang Chen have to worry about? He was simply fearless. However, becoming a monk, Master, is there no other way? Jiang Chen asked. Leave the Eternal City, the old monk said. However, Jiang Chen and the old monk both understood that Jiang Chen was unable to leave the Eternal City now. With his current situation, he would probably die the moment he stepped out of the everlasting hall. Then, I'll become a monk. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. If he wanted to live, this was the only way. Half a day later, the old monk, as the leader of the everlasting hall and the former great saint, announced to the Eternal City that Jiang Chen would become a monk and accept his mantle, becoming the leader of the everlasting hall. When this news came out, the entire Eternal City was shaken. There were young women who had seen Jiang Chen's charm through the mirror. When they heard this news, their eyes turned black and they couldn't accept it, fainting on the spot. There were also some leaders of top forces whose faces were dark. They angrily cursed the old monk for being shameless. He actually kidnapped Jiang Chen. There were also people who were dumbfounded. He had already received the betrothal gifts, but he became a monk? Are you playing with us? Master became a monk? Xian Qing stood in front of the Xian clan's main hall, as if she was standing in the wind. What's going on? How could he become a monk after going out for a period of time? Old Xie, that fellow is really a swindler. He kidnapped your master just like that. The desolate god appeared beside Qianqing and joked, "How do you feel now?" "I feel like beating someone up," Qianqing said in a low voice. "I have to think of a way to get my master out. Otherwise, he will most likely end up like old Xie." "You want to get him out? Can you beat old Xie?" the desolate god asked. Qianqing's neck shrank when she heard this. She muttered weakly, "I can't beat him." There are many people in the Eternal City who can beat him, right? If it weren't for that stupid incident, the number one great saint wouldn't be the one from the Dao clan, but old Xie. The desolate god sighed. The people in the Eternal City only knew that the old monk had committed a crime and was punished to the Everlasting Hall. However, only a few people knew that the incident back then was a huge matter. It was also because of that incident that old Xie had entered the Everlasting Hall and never left it. However, rather than a punishment, it was more accurate to say that it was the old monk's decision. After all, with his strength, no one in the Eternal City dared to punish him. Following old Xie isn't necessarily a bad thing. The desolate god said, "At least there aren't many people in the Eternal City who can protect that kid. Old Xie is one of them. Although old Xie is strong, I feel that something big is going to happen," Qianqing said in a deep voice. She raised her head and looked at the sky. Runes flickered in the depths of her eyes, as if she was looking at an unknown space in the depths of the void. "Do you feel it? There's an extremely dangerous yet familiar force rushing toward the Eternal City. It's extremely fast and can travel billions of miles in the blink of an eye." Qianqing said, "Yes, he's coming back." The desolate god nodded and said, "When he comes back, the Eternal City will change. I hope it's not a blood catastrophe." Qianqing sighed. Qianqing and the desolate god were old antiques in the Eternal City. They had been in the Eternal City for a long time and knew some secrets. At the same time, on the top floor of the Flying Dragon Inn, Yi Linglong and Han Linglong were standing together. Both of them looked at the sky with solemn expressions. "That guy's become a monk," Han Linglong said softly. "Watch your words. He's our teacher." Yi Linglong glared at her. "No matter how many times he reincarnates, he's still our teacher. But now he's taking over old Xie's mantle." Han Linglong sighed. "Is this really okay? Senior brother, aren't you going to stop him?" Chapter 736. Everyone has their own fate. Some people are born to be kings, while others become bandits. Yi Linglong said, "Master will walk his own path. We just need to lend him a hand when he needs it the most." On this day, black snow suddenly floated down from the sky of the Eternal City. A small crack appeared in the sky, emitting a heart-palpitating fluctuation. This was something that had never happened before. Since the establishment of the Eternal City, the sky of the Eternal City had never been broken. But at this moment, the sky changed. It's finally coming back. In the Dao clan, a man covered in Dao pattern sighed. He looked up at the black snow floating in the sky and muttered, "This change in the sky, it's time to return it to you." In a mountain range of the Eternal City, an old man sat cross-legged. His body was covered in dust, as if he had been dead for a long time. But on this day, he suddenly woke up and shook the dust off his body. He looked up at the sky and said, "Has it come? It's been a long time, a few eras, right? I don't know if the arrival of darkness is good or bad for the Eternal City." An old man who was as thin as firewood and looked like a corpse climbed out from a coffin buried deep in the ground. After whispering, he disappeared on the spot. On this day, all the major forces in the Eternal City closed their mountain gates and set up arrays to seal all the passageways. Many young people were brought back to their clans by their elders and were not allowed to leave their clans. "Master, why do I feel so cold?" Jiangchen stood beside the old monk and shivered all over. He had a divine body and the eternal fire burning in his body. Ordinary cold air couldn't even get close to him. Even if he was in 10,000-year-old ice, Jiangchen wouldn't feel cold at all. But now, his whole body was cold, and even a layer of frost had appeared on his soul. "If I change one day, and become a bad person in everyone's eyes, please tell them that my heart is not bad. The old monk formed a Buddhist seal and chanted, Amitabha. Master, what's wrong? Jiangchen was puzzled. He felt that the old monk's condition wasn't right today. I'm going to pick someone up. My old friend is back, the old monk said, and handed a token to Jiangchen. From now on, you are the leader of the everlasting hall. Master, Jiangchen opened his mouth, but realized that the old monk had already disappeared. At the same time, a Buddhist light soared into the sky. The old monk, who hadn't left the everlasting hall for several generations, finally left. Along with the Buddhist light, he rushed into the crack in the sky, and then everything disappeared. The black snow stopped, and the sky became clear, as if nothing had happened. The only change was that the head of the everlasting hall had changed. The old monk was no longer there. Awaken the ancient ancestor. Something big has happened. That person is back. That day, within the highest palace of the foreign side, a group of kings were alarmed. They saw Eternal City's sky change. This was especially the case with that crack that was difficult to see clearly, the black snow that drifted down, intimidating the foreign creatures. He's back. It won't be long before he returns. Dozens of foreign kings gathered in the highest palace. They were all figures who dominated a region, and their hands were even stained with the blood of the creatures of the 6 realms. A few of them had extremely strong auras. They had killed master deity-level powerhouses and even divine kings. However, even such a powerful king was visibly moved at this moment. No one knew what they were afraid of, but that day, the foreign side sky also changed. The oppressive atmosphere carried a trace of fear. Within the ancestral lands of various clans, the sound of ancient scriptures rang out. It was like a ritual that was calling out to something. He should be the first person to return, the 6-winged king said in a deep voice. Only by awakening the ancient ancestor can we contend against him. Are those people really that strong? The dragonfish king asked doubtfully. He had only become a king in recent generations, so he didn't know about things that happened a long time ago. There was once a group of people who reached the peak and went to another world, the Sky Tiger King explained. In order to save the 6 realms, those people didn't hesitate to pay a great price to return from another world. They crossed an endless amount of time and space, treading on the broken path of reincarnation to return. Now, they are about to arrive, another king said in a deep voice. Those people are extremely strong, unrivaled in this world. Another world? Unrivaled? That was something from a long time ago, right? The young kings were puzzled. What exactly happened in that era? Was the 6 realms at that time really that strong? However, they were fearless. At the very least, the foreign side had always been very strong. As kings, they had the power to contend against divine kings. They didn't fear the 6 realms. Meanwhile, above them, there were even stronger creatures. They were called supreme beings, called unrivaled. The 6 realms cannot be underestimated. The 6-winged king said, if not for the great disaster that happened to the 6 realms back then, my foreign side might not have been able to suppress the 6 realms. Then what about now? Must we awaken the ancient ancestor? Someone asked. We must. Moreover, we must be quick. The Sky Tiger King's expression was serious. Any later, and it will be too late. If the ancient ancestor hasn't awakened before that person returns, perhaps the foreign side will be wiped out. The foreign side would be wiped out? This was something that no one had ever thought of before. It was because from ancient times until now, only the foreign side attacked the 6 realms, and the 6 realms had always been defending. And now, the foreign side was going to be wiped out by the 6 realms. Was this real? Leaving just like that? At this moment, Jiangchen stood in the everlasting hall with a dumbfounded expression. He looked at the empty, everlasting hall and suddenly felt a sense of loss in his heart. Master, you will come back, right? Jiangchen said softly. He glanced at the token in his hand. After adjusting his state of mind, he pushed open the door of the everlasting hall. And not a single person? Jiang Chun was stunned. He originally thought that the outside of the everlasting hall was filled with people, all waiting for him to return and complete the wedding. But now, not a single person was there. Jiang Chun stood at the entrance for a long time, and no one even secretly made a move against him. This made Jiang Chun feel strange. After looking around, he got up and flew towards the Xian clan. Half a day later, when Jiang Chun arrived in front of the Xian clan's mountain gate, he was shocked to find that the entire Xian clan had sealed off the mountain. Although all the mountain protection arrays were activated, the Xian clan's mountain gate was like an iron bucket fortress that was difficult to break through. Xian Qing! Jiang Chun stood outside the mountain gate and shouted. He was unable to break through these arrays. They were too powerful and were not something he could break through with his current cultivation. Isolated from the world, after more than 10 breaths of time, the mountain gate was silent. There was no reaction. Clearly, these arrays isolated everything. Even sound could not penetrate. What's going on? Why did they suddenly seal off the mountain? Jiang Chun frowned. Then, he went to the Desolate clan and found that the Desolate clan had also sealed off the mountain. With a head full of doubts, Jiang Chun went to the other family factions. Without exception, all of them sealed off their mountains and isolated themselves from the world. Chapter 737. The old monk had left, and no one knew where he went. All the major sects and forces in the Eternal City had sealed their mountains for unknown reasons. Even the top sects like the Tao race and the Buddha race had sealed their mountains. Furthermore, there was no news from the great saint during this period of time, and no orders were issued. Even the major battlefields were closed, and the order to abstain from fighting was hung. Jiang Chun walked alone on the streets of the Eternal City and looked at the green mountains around him. There was an indescribable feeling in his heart. He knew that the Eternal City was really going to change. However, he didn't know what kind of changes the turmoil in the Eternal City this time would bring to the Eternal City. Would it be good or bad? Who is it? Half a day later, Jiang Chun came to a forest. With his sharp divine sense, he focused his eyes and sensed that someone was following him. After his figure stopped, Jiang Chun turned around. The person who was following him didn't hide and walked out directly. He jokingly said, "All the major sects and forces in the Eternal City have sealed their mountains. All the experts and geniuses don't dare to go out. You're quite bold, kid. How dare you run out? What does it have to do with me?" Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. Now, everyone probably knows that the Eternal City is going to change, but I'm not from the Eternal City. I'm leaving immediately. You're not from the Eternal City? The man asked in return. As the leader of the Everlasting Hall, are you sure you're not from the Eternal City? When these words came out, Jiang Chun couldn't help but be stunned. After a few breaths, Jiang Chun came to his senses. Now, he had inherited the old monk's mantle and become the leader of the Everlasting Hall. Look at my memory. Jiang Chun smiled bitterly. His heart also tightened. He had walked outside alone for so long, but no one came to assassinate him. It was most likely because he was the leader of the Everlasting Hall. Who are you? Why are you following me? Jiang Chun asked. I'm following someone's orders to bring you to a place. The man said softly, Of course, it's up to you whether you want to go or not. Whose orders? Jiang Chun asked, his whole body tense. Because this man's cultivation had reached the level of a god. In fact, it was very likely that he was a god with a title. In the hands of this kind of powerhouse, Jiang Chun did not have any right to speak. It's up to me whether you want to go or not. If you force me to go, can I not go? Jiang Chun said with a bitter smile. I won't harm you, the man said. The position of the leader of the Everlasting Hall is comparable to that of an ordinary great sage. Currently, there are no more than 3 people who would dare to touch you in the Eternal Fortress. My identity is that strong? Jiang Chun was stunned. The Everlasting Hall was empty. Other than the nameplate and the everlasting lamp, he was the only one in charge. It could be said that the identity of the Everlasting Hall's overseer was nothing more than a decoration. It didn't have any deterrence. Of course, this was what Jiangchen thought. You don't understand the Everlasting Hall's position and significance in Eternal City, the man said. The Everlasting Hall's existence is actually a kind of faith in Eternal City. Then, can you tell me who sent you and where are you taking me? Jiangchen asked. You'll know when you arrive, the man said. Are you going or not? If you're late, I'm afraid it'll be too late, and you'll miss a good show. I'll go. Jiangchen immediately agreed. If the man in front of him wanted to kill him, he would have done so long ago. Jiangchen also had no hope of surviving. Now, the man did not make a move, so he was basically safe. Jiangchen did not have any killing intent. Since that was the case, what harm was there in Jiangchen going? Then, under the man's lead, Jiangchen came to the northern border of Eternal City. This was the most desolate place in Eternal City. Usually no one would come here. There were mass graves everywhere, and occasionally, a few broken tombstones could be seen. A long time ago, this was the burial ground of Eternal City. Those unknown people who had died tragically would all be buried here. To be more precise, they were abandoned here. Eternal City has been established for a long time. It stands against the foreign realm and is the barrier of the six realms. The man stood beside Jiangchen and pointed at the mass graves around them. Who are the people in these mass graves? Do you know? They shouldn't be good people, Jiangchen said. That's right. Those who are abandoned here are all traitors who defected to the foreign realm. The man nodded. Today, I brought you here to let you see a great purge. After saying that, the man grabbed Jiangchen's shoulder and took a step forward. He actually passed through a light screen. Jiangchen did not even notice the light screen. A barrier has long been applied here. Jiangchen was shocked. A barrier that could avoid his perception and eyes was definitely of a supreme level. Boom! Boom! At this moment, before Jiangchen had realized what was going on, he heard a series of shocking blasts. Looking over, there was a group of people facing each other above the mass graves. At the same time, there were also some people fighting fiercely in the air. How many of these people do you know? The man pointed at the group of people facing each other. Among the people facing each other, I know 4, Jiangchen exclaimed. He actually saw Xianqing, Xianjian, Desolate God, and Yi Linglong. Among the people fighting in the air, Jiangchen saw Han Linglong, an elder from the Dao race who came to the Xian race's mountain gate to propose marriage, and Duke Xiaoyao from the Carefree race. This is the key point of the Great Purge, the man explained. The Luan race and the Lu race have betrayed us. Jiangchen's expression changed as soon as he heard that. The Luan race and the Lu race were the top 10 forces in Eternal City. These two forces had actually betrayed us. To Eternal City, this was not only a humiliation, but also a loss. If these two families were destroyed, Eternal City's combat power would definitely be greatly reduced. At that time, they would have less power to resist the foreign realm. Will these two families be destroyed today? Jiangchen asked. They will definitely be destroyed, but it will be difficult. Many people will die. The man sighed. None of the people of these two races will be left alive. They will all be killed. The old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled will all die. Jiangchen was stunned. Yes. The man nodded and looked at Jiangchen with a strange expression. He said, those people need some special people to kill them. Everyone here is either the head of a family or someone important. Asking them to kill the Luan and Lu clansmen, including the old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled, will have a great impact on them. Hearing that, Jiangchen's eyes widened. He pointed at himself and said, You're looking at me like that. Don't tell me you want me to go? Not only you, there are many people like you, the man said. Watch the battle here first. The battle after that belongs to you. At this moment, Jiangchen was conflicted and even a little uncomfortable. His chest felt stuffy. Asking him to kill the people of the Luan race and the Lu race, and even the old, the sick, and the disabled, what did they take him for? Moreover, if he killed the top experts of these two races, the other people of these two races could be completely ignored. At most, they would be imprisoned or exiled. If he killed them all, wouldn't it be a little inhumane? A Buddha of the Buddha race has died in battle. He was killed by the previous leader of the Luan race. An elder of the Dao race has also died. He was assassinated by the leader of the Lu race. What you see now is only the end of this battle. At this point, the man pointed at a corpse beside Yi Linglong. It was burning with black flames and still had divine matter. It was obvious that it had died not long ago. That is the Buddha race's Buddha, the man said. Together with him and his 6 descendants, the youngest was only 6 years old. They all died in the hands of the Luan race. Let me tell you one more thing. Xian Qing had a total of 6 children. Now, only 2 are left. The other 4 were all assassinated by the Lu race. Chapter 738. This chaos was far more serious than Jiang Chun had imagined. 2 powerful figures from the Taoist race and the Buddhist race had died. Before that, the 6 successors of the Buddhist race's Supreme Buddha and Xian Qing's 4 heirs had all been killed. And all of this was just the tip of the iceberg in this turmoil. Many people had died. Some had been assassinated, some had been framed, and some had died without any news. Jiang Chun was silent. There was a stifling feeling in his heart that he couldn't vent. They were all people of the 6 realms. Why did they have to fight among themselves? Why did they have to betray them? The Eternal City hadn't been breached yet. Was there no hope of defeating the foreign realm? What were the Luan and Lu clans thinking? Abandoning the 6 realms and letting their descendants join the foreign realm as slaves and dogs? Was this really what they wanted? Now a great purge was underway. The Luan and Lu clans would definitely be destroyed, and none of their heirs would be left behind. Do we really have to kill them all? Jiang Chen asked. If we don't kill them all, more of us will die. The man sighed. It's cruel and inhumane, but you have to know that our blood-stained hands are protecting the 6 realms behind us. None of them can be left alive. Jiang Chen asked again. Leaving one alive is letting the tiger return to the mountain, the man said. Do you think the main battlefield of the Great Purge is here? The real main battlefield is at the front line. The great saints are there to stop the foreign experts who came to support the Luan and Lu clans. The battle there is probably going to be earth-shattering. Even a few great saints will die. Even the great saints are taking action? Jiang Chen exclaimed in disbelief. In Jiang Chen's impression, the great saints had always been the ones who gave orders. They wouldn't take action easily, unless it was related to the survival of the Eternal City and the 6 realms. Now you should understand how messy this matter is and how big it is. The man said, you can decide for yourself whether to take action or choose the so-called mercy. I'll think about it. Jiang Chen frowned. Jiang Chen had never been an indecisive person, but he wasn't cold-blooded. He was still made of flesh and blood. Jiang Chen really couldn't bear to slaughter the people of the Luan clan and the Lu clan, the old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled. But there's nothing to see here. As long as the foreign experts don't enter Eternal City, the experts of the Luan and Lu clans will have no chance of survival. The man said, you can leave now. I brought you here to let you know how cruel this world is. Many people are doing things they don't like. Where am I going? Jiang Chen asked. He was at a loss for a moment. Go where you should go, the man said, patting Jiang Chen's shoulder. My name is Xian Baoan, father's 2nd son. You? Jiang Chen opened his mouth. Only now did he know the identity of the man in front of him. But so what? Jiang Chen was silent for a while before he finally left. He was absent-minded and depressed as he walked aimlessly within the Eternal Fortress. Until half a day later, there was a sudden explosion in the distant sky. Looking carefully, it was the mountain gate of the Carefree clan. At the mountain gate, there were many people of the Luan clan gathered. The mountain gate of the Carefree clan was broken through, and a strong smell of blood assailed the nostrils. Jiang Chen hurriedly rushed over. Before he got close, he heard the people of the Luan clan talking. The 6 realms will be destroyed in the end. Submitting to the foreign realm is the most honorable choice. Our Luan clan is destined to rise and be conferred the title of king and marquis in the foreign realm. Hearing these words, Jiang Chun was stunned on the spot. He didn't react for a long time. Could it be that the Luan clan was really hopeless? They didn't want to turn back? Even the lower true gods have moved out? After a few breaths, when Jiang Chun arrived at the mountain gate of the Carefree clan, he actually saw a lower true god of the Luan clan. He was only in his teens, the same age as Jiang Chun when he first awakened. And now, his hands were covered in blood, and there was a girl of the Carefree clan under his feet. That girl was only 10 years old and hadn't even become a true god, but she was killed by this Luan clan youth. Does everyone in the Luan clan think this way? Are they all like you? Jiang Chun came to the side of the Luan clan youth and asked faintly, "Have your hearts changed? Have you become cold-blooded?" Jiang Chun, the youth exclaimed and hurriedly retreated. At the same time, he shouted into the distance, "Jiang Chun is here. It looks like I don't need you to answer anything. Your attitude and your actions have already made me understand everything." Jiang Chun sighed softly. "Wong." As soon as his voice fell, Jiang Chun waved his palm. The palm print was like a bolt of lightning, directly turning the youth into dust. Then, Jiang Chun charged towards the Luan clan. His body flickered with light, and the power of the earth erupted. Punch after punch, Jiang Chun used his strongest strength and swept through everything in his path. True gods, heavenly gods, and even Xian gods couldn't block Jiang Chun's punch. When he arrived at the square of the Carefree clan, he saw a youth being surrounded by a group of Luan clan elders. This person is the son of Marquis Xiaoyao. Capture him and force Marquis Xiaoyao to submit. A Luan clan elder said, "My father once said that the Carefree clan is born to be kings, never bandits." The son of Marquis Xiaoyao roared, but there was a sense of arrogance in his voice. Before the Luan clan could do anything, he chose to self-destruct. His essence, qi, and soul exploded, and even his spiritual soul turned into dust. "You traitors want to destroy the Carefree clan while the elites of my clan are not around? How dare you? Do you know the status of the Carefree clan? Even the Taoist clan and the Buddhist clan have to be courteous to us. Today, the Luan clan has gone too far." A few elites of the Carefree clan shouted angrily, but they were already covered in wounds. They protected the sons of the Carefree clan, and purple gas rose from their bodies as they defended the main hall. Inside the main hall were all the people of the Carefree clan. What's too far? It won't be long before the entire 6 realms are destroyed. The Carefree clan is just one step ahead, an elder of the Luan clan said coldly. He looked at the experts of the Carefree clan and said disdainfully, "The Carefree Marquis is not here. The Carefree Baijiang is not here. And the Carefree Qinjian is not here. The Carefree clan is at its weakest right now. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all." Jiang Chun, who was not far away, witnessed everything. His heart was cold, and his eyes were bloodshot. "Xinhuan is right. These people should be killed," Jiang Chun said softly. However, with Jiang Chun's current cultivation, how could he protect the Carefree clan? He was helpless, but he still took action. They saw Jiang Chun walking toward the Carefree clan's main hall step by step, while murmuring, "I've just become the everlasting hall's leader, yet I haven't even warmed my seat yet. Am I going to die? I don't want to retreat, but I don't want to die either." Jiang Chun had already arrived in front of the main hall. Chapter 739. In front of him was a group of experts from the Luan clan. Behind him were the experts of the Carefree clan who were riddled with scars, as well as the group of Carefree clan members in the main hall. "What are you doing here? With this bit of cultivation, are you here to die?" Jiang Chun, "Get lost. My Carefree clan does not need help." The people of the Carefree clan were shocked, but their attitude was still very high. Just as they said, the Carefree clan was born to be kings. The corners of Jiang Chun's mouth rose slightly, and he chuckled. "Is this showing concern for me? A lot of blood is destined to be shed in this battle. You shouldn't have come," the elder of the Carefree clan said in a low voice. "Go to the main hall. As long as we don't die, they can forget about entering the main hall." Since you're here, then let the heavens decide your life and death, Jiang Chen said softly. When his voice fell, Jiang Chen looked at the people of the Wan clan and said in a low voice, "For the sake of the 6 realms, our ancestors died on the battlefield. How many were buried in foreign lands, dying without a place to be buried? Your descendants have sacrificed the blood and sweat of your ancestors, betraying the 6 realms. You deserve death. Jiang Chen, who do you think you are? So what if you were Tianqing in your previous life? In this life, you're nothing more than a deity. We can destroy you with a single finger. You can be considered a hidden danger. Today, we'll kill you and get rid of a future threat for the other side. We'll take your head and exchange it for our contributions. When the time comes, the other side will be conferred the title of king and marquis." Hearing the words of the Wan clan, Jiang Chen's heart became completely cold. There was no turning back, and the Wan clan did not want to turn back. "You all are destined to be destroyed," Jiang Chen said softly. His body flickered, divine power surged, and talismans and formation patterns rose around him. Jiang Chen knew very well that with his cultivation, he was not this person's opponent at all. Only by using formations could he have the strength to fight. "You still want to set up formations? Do you think we are decorations?" An elder of the Luan clan shouted coldly, and a large hand descended like a sky curtain. The stars spun in the palm, and the brilliant sun lost its luster. Jiang Chen felt helpless. He could do nothing but watch the palm strike falling toward him. At this moment, Jiang's heart also died. He knew that he could not avoid this palm, nor did he have the ability to resist this palm. However, it was just as he had said. Since he had seen what had happened today, and since he had come, he would not leave. Today his life and death is up to the heavens. Of his of God, his of his of divine his of his with his of his. Of thereof with of his of their of there there of there of there of there. At the same time, the token of the keeper of the eternal hall in Jiang Chen's chest was shining, as if a space-time tunnel had been opened. What kind of power is this? Jiang Chen was shocked. He raised his palm involuntarily and threw it over his head. Boom! With a loud explosion, the Luan clan member's hand was blown away. There was an ear-piercing sound like 2 bolts of lightning colliding. Jiang Chen was completely unscathed. Even the runes of the great Tao within his body began to burn. The surging power sent the Luan clan elder flying. At this moment, Jiang Chen was dumbfounded. The other party was a master god, while Jiang Chen was merely a lesser heavenly deity. A lesser heavenly god had repelled a master god with a single palm strike? Could it be that this wasn't a dream? It's true. Did old Xie really pass on the position of everlasting hall to you? This is the ancient order. Behind him, the people of the Xiao Yao clan cried out in surprise. Staring at the token in Jiang Chen's arms, they were both excited and surprised. Is it the power of this token? Jiang Chen asked. The Aeon token can use the power left behind by our ancestors in the Aeon Hall. That was a group of supreme experts who had died on the front lines. They left a portion of their power in the token in the Aeon Hall. Only this Aeon token can use that power. The Aeon Hall carries the dreams and hopes of eternity. It is the place where the will of our ancestors lies. When Jiang Chen heard this, he could not help but feel relieved. No wonder the Aeon Hall status was so special. So that was the case. So what if it's the Aeon token? We have so many masters, and you think a mere Aeon token can suppress us? Today, we will first destroy the Xiao Yao clan, then the Xin clan and the Desolate clan. Perhaps after today, even the Dao clan and the Buddhist clan will no longer exist. After this battle, the 6 realms will no longer exist. Only the foreign realm will reign supreme. At this moment, a group of experts from the Luan clan attacked. Each of them was a master god. The wind and clouds surged, and the sky changed color. The power of a master god erupted like dozens of volcanoes. The surging power soared into the sky, tearing the void apart. Jiang Chun had a strange expression. He had forgotten how long it had been since he last fought with a master god. Thinking back, the last battle back then was with the strongest 36 masters of the Nine Heavens divine world. Is this Aeon token powerful? Jiang Chun suddenly asked. I'm not sure. Old Xie has never used the Aeon token. The elder of the Xiao Yao clan shook his head, but he told Jiang Chun with certainty that the Aeon token was very strong. It's fine as long as it's very strong. Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes. When he took a step forward, his palm pressed down on the void. The palm print was vast and mighty, like a mountain range falling, carrying with it an inextinguishable flame and a purple-gold radiance. There was also a sword beam shooting out from between Jiang Chun's eyebrows. With the support of the Aeon token, the palm pushed out and sent the Luan clan masters flying. Immediately after, the sword beam arrived and directly slashed one of them. Even his soul was cut in half, and then it collapsed. It makes me feel like I've returned to my previous life, Jiang Chun whispered. Wasn't this power the power of a god king? God king, the Aeon token can summon such power? The Luan clan people were terrified. They were all masters. How could they fight against a god king? Previously, I was thinking if I killed all of you, wouldn't it be too bloody and inhumane? But now it seems that killing all of you won't be enough to vent my hatred, Jiang Chun said coldly. As his voice fell, a green lamp appeared above his head. The lamp burned leisurely. As Jiang Chun stretched out his palm, a green sword beam condensed. Myriad transformation, heavenly lamp. With a soft shout, the sword beam burst forth as if it was going to cut open this ancient era. Under the sword, explosions rang out continuously, dust flew everywhere, and there were even screams. After a dozen breaths, everything dissipated and the dust settled. At this moment, everyone looked in front of them and saw that the mountain gate of the Xiao Yao clan had been razed to the ground. The huge Xiao Yao clan was only left with a building behind Jiang Chun. Everything in front of him had disappeared, including the Luan clan people. One sword, all gone. One sword to destroy the world. The Xiao Yao clan people were moved. Just how much power was contained in the Aeon token? This power was simply a great killing machine. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.